there. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
When age-related challenges arise, reignite your loved one's grace, purpose, and joy, and get the right care at Lutheran Life Communities. Experience a 130-year legacy as a Christ-centered, nonprofit mission to seniors at 4 locations in the Chicagoland area. Multiple full-time chaplains on staff serve as ministers to the spiritual needs of residents and their families. Experience the highest level of body and soul nurturing for your loved one by visiting LutheranLifeCommunities.org today. That's LutheranLifeCommunities.org.
Hey folks, I just can't help thinking of our stress levels. And high blood pressure is the #1 key risk factor for mortality. In fact, 1 in 2 Americans walking around have high blood pressure. That's a ticking time bomb. But thankfully, it's never been easier to take control of your blood pressure. With 120 Life, a truly remarkable natural juice blend that can actually help you lower your blood pressure without the side effects of taking pills every day. 120 Life is formulated with scientifically backed ingredients from superfruits, berries, and minerals that have been shown to naturally help control high blood pressure. And it works. It's endorsed by 600 health professionals. And I assure you, that's not fake news. I use it myself. I love it. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Just go to 120 Life and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% and receive free shipping. If 120 Life doesn't help lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they give you your money back. It's guaranteed. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Go to 120life.com today.
Do you agree that the educational system is broken? The cycle of content conveyance and consumption is failing our children. They are listless, bored, and uninspired. I am Peter Serby, the founder and director of the Riverside Club for Adventure and Imagination, and author of the new book, Casting Fire, a guide to the adventure and imagination of boyhood. The true purpose of education should be to spark a child's curiosity and wonder, to light a fire of creativity, to illuminate a path to find gift and calling. A decade ago, I founded Riverside to rekindle a love of learning in our youth. Our innovative vision immerses boys and girls ages 8 to 14 in epic stories, ignites in them a passion for adventuring in the great outdoors, teaches them the art of craftsmanship, and facilitates strong friendships rooted in faith. Join us on our educational journey. Visit ourside.org to learn more about our imaginative programs and summer camps. And check out my new book, Casting Fire, on Amazon. That's ourside.org.
Right now, MyPillow is having 2 sales in 1. The first is a closeout sale on for-sale bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $25. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $25. 11 colors to choose from. When they're gone, they're gone. The second sale is a new energy drink called Rev 7, a premium energy drink that is actually good for you. It tastes great and gives you energy all day. Plus, it has no sugar, no caffeine, so you don't experience those jitters and crashes that we've all been through with the other energy drinks. What makes Rev 7 so special is that it's powered with a premium nootropic that helps fuel your mind and provides the most efficient and cleanest fuel ever. For a limited time, get an introductory 3-pack absolutely free. These amazing offers won't last long, so order now. Just go to mypillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201.
It's important to have a heating and cooling company you know you can depend on. That company is the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling. They aren't one of those massive companies with newer techs and subcontractors. Oh no, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling send only their own highly skilled techs. From service to installation and everything in between, the work quality and customer service is the best. For 40 years, the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling has kept homeowners and business customers comfy and warm in the winter and nice and cool in the warmer months. Don't call the big guys, call the best. Call Carrie at 847-545-1700 or visit arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. That's Carrie at 847-545-1700 or online at arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, not the biggest, just the best.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
Today, millions of people all across America are building a life in recovery from addiction and mental illness, helping themselves
and helping each other, with friends, family, and community lending their strength and support.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
Together, we are stronger.
For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral for mental and substance use disorders, for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Partly sunny and not as warm today. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Breezy in the evening tonight, otherwise increasing clouds with a low of 45. Partly sunny, breezy, and cooler on Thursday with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, newly minted Canadian PM Mark Carney arrived at the White House as scheduled yesterday. And it started out friendly. Here was President Trump's opener.
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship.
But that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, how good, the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of respect. He is a big, tough cookie, too. Just broke the record. And he's a great guy, and we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place.
What American hockey players do you like, Prime Minister Carney? Since he offered Gretzky and Ovechkin as olive branches to Mark Carney. Mark Carney opened with plaudits for Trump.
Thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here with the help of my colleagues here, I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada. With a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
So the pleasantries were offered up first, as is appropriate.
Yeah, lovely. And then
we, of course, someone in the D.C. press corps baited Trump on Canada being the 51st state, or it was planted, and it would just, rather than Trump volunteering it, he was just waiting for somebody to inevitably ask it. And he restated his position.
No. Well, I still believe that, but it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting along swimmingly. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, or you could text us on that very same line.
Well, so Carney was, of course, compelled to respond to sort of all of the above, that Canada is an overtaxed, helpless nation that would be better folded into America. Of course, he responded as you would expect, which is to say, Canada is not going to be taken over by the Trump organization.
There are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
True. And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
And when he said never say never, Carney was mouthing the words never, never, never. So I think it's where it was. He's not calling Carney Governor Carney, but other than that sort of trolling antagonism, Trump is not going to scramble the armed services to invade and take over Canada, and Canada has no interest. So this is all sort of fun political fodder, but it doesn't really signify anything other than, I think, Trump's intention to remind Canada what their power position is in proportion to America's. That's what this is really.
And before we get to the nitty gritty of what they're meeting for, I loved, Dan, when President Trump took credit for Carney's win.
We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada.
That's not it. But he just said, I helped you beat your competition.
Right. And when they did get into the nitty-gritty, then it got... it increasingly got less friendly, even as it was, as it was being described as friendly. We're friends, we love each other, but we have this fundamental disagreement, which we do, I suppose. But it really belies what Trump said in Carney's presence. I think again is him, puffing out his chest a bit and leaning on the leverage that he believes America has, and to a large extent he's right, to impose terms on Canada with respect to trade. That's what you're about to hear is. It's him leaning in. We are in a position to impose terms, and we're going to impose terms. And of course, there's an element of hyperbole in this as well, and I'll explain why it's obviously hyperbole. And by the way, even though I have no use for Mark Carney, I don't think this is lost on him.
We are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved. And this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation, but we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't need your automobiles. We don't need your steel. We don't need your aluminum. We don't need your lumber. We don't need your Robin Thicke songs. We don't need any of it. I got it. And he was asked as well about any willingness to move on the tariffs imposed on Canada.
Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
Except that's not true. That's what I'm saying. This is largely posturing. I think this is representative of Trump's understanding, or I would say misunderstanding, of global trade. But it's posturing. How do I know? Because concurrent to Carney and Trump at the White House going back and forth in front of the D.C. press corps like a Second City routine, Scott Bessent was testifying in the House, saying this.
There are 18 very important trading relationships. We are currently negotiating with 17 of those trading partners. China, we have not engaged in negotiations with as of yet. So I expect that we can see a substantial reduction in the tariffs that we are being charged, as well as non-tariff barriers, currency manipulation, and the subsidies of both labor and capital investment. So that is proceeding very well. Many of our trading partners have approached us with very good offers, and we are in the process of renegotiating those.
So Trump comes across as an iconoclast in the presence of Carney in the D.C. press corps because he wants to make sure everybody knows who's boss. Right. Meanwhile, his Treasury Secretary is testifying that 17 of our 18 major trading partners, which necessarily includes Canada and didn't include China, which changed later in the day after Besson's testimony, we're making substantial progress towards trade deals that, in Besson's own words, will result in a reduction of trade barriers and presumably going in both directions. So, there is the bloviation and the politically charged rhetoric, and then there's what's actually happening quietly and in large measure behind closed doors at present. We'll pick this up on the other side and take your calls, 538.
Yep, and Governor Pritzker's offer to Canadians. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 53 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. India says it launched military strikes into Pakistan.
President Trump responded to India's military firing multiple missiles.
It's a shame we just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval.
In a statement, the country's Ministry of Defense said it attacked terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and in the disputed Kashmir region. India insists these strikes are non-escalatory in nature and that no Pakistani military facilities were targeted. A spokesperson for the Pakistani military acknowledged the strikes and said Pakistan will respond to it at a time and place of its own choosing. This comes after dozens of tourists were killed by gunmen last month inside a region of Kashmir controlled by India. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Janulius is debunking myths about the Real ID. Janulius said that the vast majority of people don't need a Real ID before the deadline today.
We have been saying for months and over a year now that even after May 7th, you will still be able to get a Real ID.
The federal government is requiring anybody boarding a domestic flight to show either a passport or Real ID starting today. This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage. What will you find at Macy's Backstage? How about fun Mother's Day gifts, all for under $15? Get low prices every day on unique finds before they're gone. In store only at Macy's Backstage today. Find a location near you at macy'sbackstage.com. Off price, on trend, arriving daily. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now...
For nearly a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we've expanded Cigar Night to 2 nights. Wednesday, May 21st at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove. And Thursday, May 22nd at Gaelic Park in Oak Forest. Featuring the great Larry Elder, along with AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, partly sunny and not as warm. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Tonight, breezy this evening. Otherwise, increasing clouds with a low of 45. Thursday, partly sunny, breezy, and cooler with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, we're talking about Trump's sit-down with Canadian PM Mark Carney and the upshot of the, he owned Mark Carney tweets and posts on social media is that, yeah, he restated his position. He restated his understanding of global trade, that the trade deficit that we have with Canada, or good surplus that we have with Canada, another way to frame it, is a problem. And we want to make our own cars. We want to make our own steel.
Own aluminum.
We want to cut down our own trees. We want to have our own lumber industry. We don't need no stinking Canadians doing for Americans what we can do for ourselves. But in the background is Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, riding point along with Jameson Greer, the trade rep, and fielding these proposals and going back and forth with, as you heard Beston testify yesterday, our 17 of our most important 18 trading partners, with the exclusion of China. And then later in the day, Besson appeared on Laura Ingram's show and had news that, in fact, a meeting with China is going to happen this weekend in Switzerland.
The world has been coming to the U.S., and China has been the missing piece. I was going to be in Switzerland to negotiate with the Swiss. Turns out the Chinese team is traveling through Europe, and they will be in Switzerland also. So we will meet on Saturday and Sunday. And, look, we have shared interest that this isn't sustainable, as I said before, especially on the Chinese side. And, 145%, 125% is the equivalent of an embargo. We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
But who made the first call? Like in a dating world, like who makes the first call here today?
There are lots of calls, Laura, is that there isn't a first call. There are a lot of contact points over time.
Mm-hmm.
He was just swinging by Switzerland, and they just happened to swing by Switzerland. 312-642-5600. Yes.
So the thing that's going on here, which has been going on from the beginning, is you have Trump saying one thing and the Trump administration doing something else.
Right.
Trump talks like an autarkist. He talks like someone that wants to onshore every business sector and every business within that sector. We don't need anybody for anything.
Right. Well.
And then you have Bessent and Greer and the team in charge of negotiating trade deals, dealing with the implementation of Trump policies in this area, outworking deals. So which is it? Well, it's the latter. Even with Trump, you don't just listen to what politicians say, you watch what they do. And by they, I mean their entire team or administration. So I'm watching what Trump is doing. And what he is saying is mildly entertaining. It's often completely at odds with basic economics, if I'm being honest, and I'm going to be. But what he's doing, I have hope for, I'm optimistic about in terms of what the other side of what he's doing might look like. Do you see this as a plan coming together, or do you see this as the chaos that it's characterized as being by so many of the bedwetters on Wall Street and inside the Beltway? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
I know, it's just I just feel like we've been put in a holding pattern waiting to see what's going to happen. And
well, this is what Scott Besson would say, this is strategic uncertainty. This is classic game theory, and I've addressed that before, too. That's a fancy way of trying to put a philosophy behind something that is a high wire act. And, again, in game theory, yes, strategic uncertainty is one feature of some game theory exercises. But it doesn't necessarily mean both sides win at the end of playing out that game.
312-642-5600. In the meantime, real quick, Governor Pritzker has an offer for Canadians because WestJet has canceled 9 U.S. routes to fly. Canadians are flying elsewhere, so they cut routes to San Francisco, Miami, and Washington because no one's flying to America. I guess, they want to take it out on us. So Pritzker has an offer.
Every year, over 600,000 Canadians travel south to the great state of Illinois. It's not hard to imagine why. Not only do we boast the United States' third largest metropolis, but from Rockford to Carbondale, Illinois is full of people who are happy to show you why the land of Lincoln is so great. I don't blame anyone whose appetite for visiting might have soured with our current president and the shameful way he's represented us on the national stage.
So come visit Illinois.
Trying to lead the resistance. Yeah, maybe they can stage some of those Canadians in that million-square-foot electric bus maker plant in Joliet that is being liquidated after it was the cause celeb of these same politicians when it opened in 2023. Part of the new economy that J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois Marxists are ushering in. Yeah. And the new economy ran into economic reality.
Naperville School District spent $1.3 million on those buses that never came.
So getting back to trade here and what's happening and what you think is happening. It's a plan that's coming together and you're optimistic, or it's chaos and you're concerned. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, Trump talking or speaking about the beauty of Canada is like a man admiring a beautiful woman. He wants it.
Right. And like my experience with that, he's not going to get it. Thanks for the call, George. You can admire.
You can reach out, but he ain't touching this.
Doesn't mean you can secure. Jim in LaGrange.
Mark Carney seemed very humble yesterday. I watched that video clip, so much so that I was waiting for him to break into a verse of "We shall overcome."
Yeah, you can see him mouthing like it's as if he was biting his tongue, don't you think?
I can't get that stupid song out of my head after yesterday. You played all 4 verses of it. Now I'm just like ruined for the week. Thanks.
Well, it's a classic protest song. Thanks for the call, Jim. And we were celebrating the career of Jan Schakowsky, so it seemed appropriate at the time. Carney was humble, but he understands who he's dealing with.
Exactly. He was very measured, and
so he is going to be the sort of room temperature guy pushing friendship and collaboration, and then Trump will say to his face the same thing that he's said without Carney's, absent Carney's presence, and that's exactly what he did, because that's what Trump does, and that's fine. You should say the same thing. Whatever you believe, you should be willing to say to somebody, just as you say it sort of openly to the public. But yeah, of course that's the role he's playing. He's trying to de-escalate, which he should, because Trump is right about one thing, which is that Canada is much more dependent on the U.S. as a trading partner than the converse. He's definitely right about that.
Real quick, because I found the soundbite, because I loved it when I saw it. It's just 20 seconds long, but Trump telling him, like, hey, buddy, you're here because of me.
As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take vote credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. You know? But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually.
Yeah.
We were watching it with it.
Yeah, that's not something to brag about, Mr. President.
No, I know, because the conservative candidate lost, who was up ahead in the polls by double digits.
Yeah, it's not particularly funny, actually. It's particularly unnerving, as we discussed last week after the election results were in. That's the decisions that he made and what he thinks facilitating the elevation of a Orwellian central planner to the Canadian prime ministership, you think is some sort of victory? That's a ha ha ha, look, I helped you. Well, why'd you help him? If you really believe you helped him, which you did, why did you? Same thing we could say about Australia. I'm sorry, Mr. President, if I could just put a fine point on it, because we're all supposed to yuck it up. Do you want Marxists in charge of other Western nations, other allies of America? Or do you want people that are freedom and free market oriented? I'm confused. Does it matter? Kevin in Boston.
Hi, thank you, Dan. Dan, sometimes both you and Amy, I'm not sure where you stand, and I'm just hearing like this pessimistic attitude. We have had no changes since, whether it be Obama or Biden, on any of these things. And finally, we have somebody come in that's with a posture of being tall and unrelenting and ambitious. It's not going to be good. But if either of you look at the TSX since Justin Trudeau ran to Mar-a-Lago, or what's happened to the Canadian loonie, why Canadians aren't traveling to the U.S. They've lost 50% on their dollar. It's back to pre-2001 when we got hit and attacked. So that's why Canadians are not coming to America. Hello.
Yes. Oh, and I'm sorry. What is your point?
My point is that we need to recalibrate things.
Wait, you know, Kevin. Just a point of order. We recalibrated things with Canada and Mexico a few years ago. You may remember Trump's first term, and that was the greatest trade deal that was ever made.
Yeah, but it wasn't working out because he did not have people behind him.
So he was wrong. So Trump was wrong when he cut that deal.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, and he was wrong. Okay.
And Mike Pompeo.
Yep. Oh, so it wasn't Trump's fault, even though he went out and touted it as the greatest trade deal ever made, so much better than NAFTA. But it wasn't his fault. Does he ever make a mistake? Is he ever wrong? In your eyes?
So can we not re-examine it?
Thanks for the call, Kevin. What do you mean, can we not re-examine it? You just said it was time for us to recalibrate our trade relationship with Canada. But we're not supposed to look back in the very near term and say, well, didn't we do that with the USMCA? Well, we're not talking about that. Well, I'm talking about it. How are we not talking about it? If that was the great trade deal, such a vast improvement over NAFTA, why are we visiting it just a few years later? I think that I have an explanation for it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want to hear the people that are just reflexively defensive of everything Trump says and does as flawless, impossible to be approved upon, 100% correct and morally righteous all the time, every time. Mike in Union.
Hey, Dan. Hey, I was wondering if you knew if Governor Pritzker, when dealing with the Mexicans in trade, if our ho-hos and our Bimbo coffee cakes are safe, did he succeed at that, Dan? Do you know? Thanks, brother.
Yeah, I'm uncertain. I know he's committed to that, though, to keeping our ho-hos and Hostess cake safe. Joe in Naperville.
Somebody's got to take care of it.
Good morning. You know, everybody needs to stop worrying about what Trump says, every little thing, and dissecting the words. Think about it this way. If you're selling a car, you're going to go out there and tell everybody how beautiful this car is, how great it is, and you're going to set your sale price at, say, $100,000, knowing that you're going to sell it for maybe $50,000 or $75,000. So he just sets the mark high. This way he has negotiation, knowing he's going to get it lower. And I think if everybody looked at it from that lens, it would make a lot more sense. Not to say it's going to answer everything, but it just makes a lot more sense when you think about it from that angle.
Thanks for the call, Joe. I'm not parsing his words. I just explained. I'm not even paying that much attention to him. I'm watching what the administration does. But when he does say things that are just categorically concerning, we will address them. I mean, this is, so again, Bessent is going to meet with the Chinese communists in Switzerland on over the weekend to ideally, according to Bessent again, first get to de-escalation and then perhaps get to a trade deal. But you hear Bessent saying, you know, we're not trying to decouple. We're trying to get better and more fair terms. And this is what Trump had to say about China and trade.
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now. And those ships are turning around in the Pacific Ocean. Big turn. Those are big ships. Those ships take about 10 miles to turn. And, you know, we lost $1 trillion to China on trade because of an incompetent president that we had who preceded me, grossly incompetent. You're finding it out more and more now. And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate and they want to have a meeting, and we'll be meeting with them at the right time.
By not trading, we're not losing anything. I have a simple question. Particularly for those that are reflexively protectionist, if Trump is reflexively protectionist. And then they'll be reflexively for reducing trade barriers and tariffs when Trump and Bessent negotiate reductions in tariffs and trade barriers. But the question is, we're not losing, first of all, just the statement, but we're not losing anything by not trading with China. Who's the we? Who's the we that are not losing? Simple question. Tell me. 312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line. Corey in Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Good morning, Amy. What I will say is this, Dan. You know, the country was founded with politicians that would go in and come home. These were part-time jobs. People had to run businesses. Trump is the first president in a long time that actually ran a business and wants to go home, but he wants to leave things in a better position than he found them. So other politicians, they gave away the farm, Dan. I mean, they bust the border wide open. They gave away everything. And it's refreshing to see somebody say, wait a minute, this is not the way to go. We've got to leave this country in a better position than they found it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call, Corey. I completely agree with that. But you know, all issues and all approaches are not the same. So yes, they gave away the farm when Biden opened the borders, and they've been giving away the farm on lax border security for 40 years since the 1986 immigration reform play. I agree, and I agree that the approach he's taking right now is to leave the country with respect to border security a lot better than it was before he came. 100%.
One of the main reasons why I voted for him.
But that doesn't absolve him of. I mean, not that he needs absolution at this point, but it doesn't mean that everything else is to be accepted without examination, without questioning, without even criticism where it's warranted. I mean, there's all kinds of good things that he's doing, and we've documented them with respect to DEI, with respect to identitarian politics generally, including gender identity nonsense in the schools and transing kids and boys and girls sports, and the DEI race hustle. So many other things. Getting after the Houthis. He had the announcement yesterday that the Houthis have basically capitulated. No more bombing of ships. So he's protecting trade routes and in that area of the world. I mean, there's many accomplishments to tick off, and it's just been a little over 100 days. I don't question that, and I don't question that his mind's eye is to making America as strong and prosperous as she can be. But your intentions don't absolve the consequences of the actions you take. And so what I'm saying in this specific area, and it's not the whole thing, we've been spending a lot of time talking about the extension of the Trump tax cuts with the additional promises he made in the last campaign. And we're still focused on that, too. Doge, huge applause for the culture change that the initiation of Doge has the potential to represent. But in this area, I'm not going to suspend my understanding of economics. And I'm not going, if somebody said, I'll answer my own question.
Yeah, when he said we, didn't he mean Americans?
No, when he said we, he means the government.
Oh.
It's a very government-centric thing for a politician to say, we don't lose anything by not trading with China. Well, we. Who's the we? The American people? Well, what about the American people that do trade with China?
Yeah.
What about the American people whose purchasing power is enhanced because of what Walmart is able to put on its shelves? Stuff that's produced in China, for example. Just for example. So, that's a very, and so I'm not going to suspend, if a leftist politician said the same thing, I would say the same thing. So when somebody says we, and they mean the government, as opposed to all the private market actors, businesses and individuals alike, who we are actually talking about, when we talk about trade isn't between the Chinese government and the United States government. It's between all of these private market actors. John, Northwest Side.
Yeah, how you doing? I like that part where you question, the guy about Trump, that he can't be wrong. It's pretty good. Not too many people do that, maybe the Democrats, but I'm not for either party between me and you. Yeah, you wonder what's going on really when you look at the whole picture. You see that they beat us down for 4 years with all this crazy stuff, makes you think, we're just going to go along with anything. Oh, here comes Trump. We're going to go along with everything he says so they can implement everything they want to implement. Yeah. I mean, it's a game of chess, I mean, look at the real picture. Who's the godfather of the vaccine, right? I memean, come on.
Thanks for the call, John. There's a very Chicago question. Who's the godfather in the backseat? It's a fun way to put it. It's appropriate to the description of politics. I mean, I don't do blind allegiance to politicians. Sorry.
No, you never have.
Coming up at 6:06, we will talk about Jelly Belly along with his the other deep intellects, Walz and Hochul, who'll be testifying on sanctuary state before Congress. What questions do you hope are put upon one Governor Jelly Belly? 6:06.
And Raja to the rescue. It's now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Making the final preparations to pick a new pope. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's at a mass held this morning in St. Peter's Basilica before the conclave in the Sistine Chapel.
We are here to invoke the help of the Holy Spirit, to implore his light and strength.
Cardinal Batista Ray delivered the homily. Fox's Alex Hogan is there.
Later this afternoon, there will be another prayer that is going to take place before the Cardinals take their oath of secrecy. Now, on top of the Cardinals giving up their phones and electronic devices, their rooms will be swept for bugs. Starting today, phone signals will be deactivated in the Vatican, and the Vatican will also use signal jammers to prevent surveillance, just as it did during the last conclave in 2013.
Well, that's when they chose the Pope Francis, who died last month. 2/3 of the 133 cardinals gathered in secret will have to agree before they send up white smoke to signal they've elected a new pope. India has launched an attack on Pakistan, which calls it an act of war, with 31 people killed. The Indian missile strikes hit a Pakistan-controlled area of Kashmir in retaliation for a deadly terror attack in that region a few weeks ago. President Trump calls it a shame and hopes the skirmish ends quickly.
A little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for many, many decades.
Well, that was after the president met with Canada's prime minister at the White House talking trade and tariffs. And the continued Trump push to make Canada part of the U.S., Mark Carney says no.
Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state.
Speaking of trade talks, the U.S. and China will hold them this weekend in Switzerland, led by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who tells Fox.
My sense is that this will be about de-escalation.
Amid high tariffs, both countries now charge each other for imports. Real IDs, they take effect starting today. You need to board an airplane or have a passport with it or you can't get on. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 53 degrees in Chicago and the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The U.S. trade deficit hit a high record in March as companies raced to import goods ahead of new tariffs.
Government figures show the trade gap rose by 14% to more than $140 billion for the month. The larger-than-expected jump comes as businesses rush to lock in cheaper prices on foreign products before the start of the White House tariffs. So far this year, the trade deficit has spiked more than 90% compared to the same period in 2024. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Over 130 cardinals are convening today to elect a new pope in a secret ceremony at the Sistine Chapel.
The papal election is called a conclave, and it dates back to the 13th century. The election of a new pope will be signified by white smoke from a chimney installed in the chapel. Unsuccessful votes will be signified by black smoke. No conclave has gone more than 5 days in over 100 years. The late Pope Francis was elected after 5 ballots over 2 days in 2013. A cardinal needs 2/3 of the vote to be elected to lead the Catholic Church. I'm Mark Mayfield.
President Trump is calling the Obama Presidential Center project in Chicago a disaster. During an Oval Office visit yesterday with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, Trump claimed the project has gone over budget because former President Barack Obama only hired woke people to build the center.
And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns.
Trump also said that the job has been stopped due to a lawsuit. The Obama Foundation has rejected that claim. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualified today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 9 minutes. Outbound, about 12 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes. Outbound, about 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 15 minutes. Outbound, 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of Fox Valley Coins. This is a great time to bring in your scrap, gold jewelry, and sterling flatware. Cash or check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, partly sunny and not as warm. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Tonight, breezy this evening. Otherwise, increasing clouds with a low of 45. Thursday, partly sunny, breezy, and cooler with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. First we had the mayors. Now we've got the sanctuary governors.
Oh, boy.
Jelly Belly has accepted the invitation of House Oversight Chairman, Committee
This
Chairman
shall be attending June 12th.
House Oversight Committee Chairman Jim Comer, as has Tim Walz, Field Marshal Walz from Minnesota, and Kathy Hochul from New York. So a collection of intellects we haven't seen since Brandon Johnson, Bill Johnston, and Eric Adams appeared a few months back. So the questions you have, or you would like to see put to one, Governor Jelly Belly, or the other governors, but particularly Pritzker, of course. He is one of the leaders of the resistance. I learned that in the LA Times, big profile piece. A billionaire heir and a former bartender lead the Trump resistance. Jelly Belly and AOC. I hope she doesn't crowd out Jasmine Crockett for the 28 ticket.
I can't imagine those
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, and turnkey.pro text line, too.
My first question to all of them, Governor, I just cannot wait to see these three clowns sitting next to each other, Pritzker, Walz, and Hochul. How has Illinois sanctuary state status affected public safety across your state, Governor? And that question would apply to all three of them, because not one of them can say that public safety, that any citizen is safer because of all the illegals that are here.
Oh, that's exactly what they'll say.
But it's not true.
Not only can they say it, they will say it.
But it's a lie.
Well, they say things that are untrue all the time. Why are they going to stop before a House Oversight Committee? Did Brandon Johnson tell the the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth during his appearance to the House Oversight Committee? Of course
he just
not.
Looked scared the whole time, like a deer in the headlights up there.
Oh, well, this is a wonderful opportunity for Jelly Belly to continue to elevate his standing within the new Marxist Party.
Oh, yeah.
He's the big, bad Illinois governor who's coming to tell those Beltway politicians what time it is.
To anyone who intends to come take away the freedom and opportunity and dignity of Illinoisans, I would remind you that a happy warrior is still a warrior.
Okay.
You come for my people, you come through me.
Mm-hmm. I expect him to show up in a loincloth and spear. I mean, he's a warrior. He's Spartacus. He's going to pull a Cory Booker.
What questions do you have?
I would ask the question that Joe Abraham asked on this show. Joe Abraham, whose daughter Katie Abraham was killed by an illegal immigrant in a hit-and-run crash in Champaign when she and a friend were visiting friends at U of I.
Killed 2 innocent people.
And Joe Abraham's question, this is not verbatim, but just like I don't understand. This is Abraham. Like, I don't understand this. What are you trying to do? I don't understand what you're trying to do. What are you trying to do by inviting people to come into this country illegally and then financing them with our money and showing no concern about the potential risks or burdens they impose? What is it you're trying to accomplish? I don't understand. Explain. Get them talking. It's always good to get people who are ciphers talking. Like, give me the big picture. Don't give me the you come for my people, you come through me. Don't give me give me the canned line. Give me the philosophy. Lay it out all for me in rich detail. What is it you're trying to do, and how do the decisions you've made thus far advance that? Lay it out. The floor is yours. Take as much time as you like. Get them talking more. Yes, the back and forth with sort of here's what you said and here's what you did, or when you said this, some of that is also useful. You said this, and now look at the situation. Very much like the Brandon Gill, Catherine Maher exchange, the Texas congressman and the CEO of NPR, when I said, you tweeted that, white supremacy is very real in America or something to that. And she said, well, I never said that. He's like, well, yeah, you did. You said it right here. You posted it online. So what did you mean? And then she's backpedaling, and those are good moments too. But what you really want to do, it seems to me, is lay out the big vision. Because I know, Governor Pritzker, you're not just doing this for cheap politics. You're not doing this because this is where you believe you need to be in order to advance within your party's ranks. This isn't a political calculation because you're a man of principle. So just lay out the principle and the policies that flow from the principle and where you think this is going to get us and how close we are to that point at this point. Simple. That should be easy for a deep thinker like Jelly Belly to explain, don't you think?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
I mean, and then for like Tim Walz, and I just give Tim Walz a balloon or something to play with while the adults are talking.
Yeah, he can play with a tampon.
Roger, Southside.
Good morning, gang. He's going to go there and make a fool of himself. Mm-hmm. And my whole thing is this. Okay, until the current AG, U.S. Attorney General, until they charge somebody with that big T charge, this goes nowhere. And how are you going to hurt them? I mean, here, they could tie Jelly Belly up for, 2-3 years. How do you hurt a guy worth $6 billion who's going to have the top 3 law firms and most likely Mark Elias and the rest of these people defending him? I don't personally think he has a chance in the world. He may run for president, and that it's kind of reversed, what they put Trump through over 8 years. But I mean, until they hit somebody with the real charge of, hey, guess what? You're 50 years old, 55 years old, 60 years old. Guess what? We'll see you when you're 85 if you make it. Until they do that, these people aren't going to stop.
Why?
That's just my thought.
Well, that's right. No, they're not going to stop, and he's going to run, and he's more likely than not going to lose. But who knows these days with the unhinged nature of that party? Who knows? And I wouldn't exactly call the bench particularly deep from what I've seen thus far, and what's even been being discussed in the margins in terms of potential candidates. So I suppose stranger things. But of course he's not going to stop, and the Pritzker family is not going to stop on what they underwrite. That's not going to stop. The Soros family is not going to stop.
Mm-mm.
We see that with what George's baby boy Alex is doing. No, I understand. Right. The fight is unrelenting and eternal. I don't. It's something that I think comes as a surprise to a lot of conservatives. I don't know why. They're pretty straightforward about it. Roger in DeKalb.
Hey, yeah, I think Tim Walz has a really important role to play because somebody should ask him, you millionaires and billionaires, so Bernie, they don't pay their fair share. And then bring up J.B. Pritzker and his tax dodges, especially on his homes where he adapts property taxes. And even more egregious would be his brother in Los Angeles who had a $200 million mansion overlooking L.A. And if you don't know the details on that one, it's unbelievable. The whole thing was set up as a trust and for charity. And so he never paid taxes on this.
And now it's the subject of a divorce proceeding, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how I learned about it because his wife, he moved out. The wife thought she had the house, and then 3 weeks later, she got evicted.
Yeah, well, that's real nice.
They're lovely people.
Oh, yeah, that's real friendly to do that. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I know.
I am somewhat sympathetic to that.
Oh, come on, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Roger. I am some sympathetic to the machinations that were involved in making sure that if things broke bad, they weren't going to break
which
so bad
Pritzkers
that
are getting divorced, by the way.
I have to look at my family tree scorecard.
Okay.
I can't remember the guy, which the names in particular. I just remember the story.
I'd also ask, how do sanctuary policies affect your state's budget?
Yeah, I mean the
what amount of money is going to them instead of American citizens?
Well, there's no question. I mean, in point of fact, we know from sort of back of the envelope math that WirePoints has done over the last couple of years. I mean, you're north of a couple $1 billion. I mean, just because of the health care coverage that's provided in a state like Illinois to people in the state who are in the country illegally, and then in addition to all of the other services. I mean, thinking about the per pupil expenditures for the kids of illegal immigrants who are in schools, and then all of the other social services that are provided, the shelter, the
free rides to the doctor,
the food support, all of that.
Food, clothing, strollers, diapers, everybody gets a cell phone too, Dan.
Well, and the other point is, so we've got a couple few $1 billion in spend, and now you've got all these politicians in Illinois and Chicago running around trying to come up with new sources of revenue. That's to say, new ways to take your money because they can't make the numbers work. They don't want to cut any of the spending that they've been doing. In fact, they want to increase it across the board, of course, and they're a little short on cash, and so they're coming for more of the residents of Illinois' cash, of course. So, I mean, that's the dot connecting. But so that's an aspect of it. We'll talk to Congressman Mary Miller at the bottom of the hour about this a little bit as well. But I think this issue is so visceral. I think you have to keep it very emotion focused, and that's why I think you tell stories. Mm-hmm. I think you tell stories and you force them to address those stories, and as I said, the bigger picture behind what you're doing. Explain. People, and I took Joe Abraham as being 100% authentic when he said, I don't understand why they're doing this. I don't understand what the end game is here. I think that's where a lot of people are. And so the politicians should be forced to explain themselves.
Could he attend the hearing?
I think I don't know. I think some of the angel moms and dads are in conversations with members of with congressional members, including members of the Oversight Committee.
Can't let them forget.
Well, I mean, it's not even attend. I mean, they should testify.
Right.
Dawn in Naperville.
Hi, good morning. So the motive of my questions would be presented in a way that it's not political. Math is not political. Math is reality. So, Governor, in the areas of SNAP, food stamps, Medicaid, and housing, please, can you present a number on what was spent on illegals? I would like those numbers, please. And if you don't have those numbers, please contact me with those numbers. Then I would ask them, can you tell me, sir, how many people are waiting on the PUNS list, on the disability PUNS list? Can you give me a number? Okay, sir, how many, based off of the data that we have, that could be, subjective, please tell me what is the number of fourth graders that are not proficient in reading in fourth grade? And that number is very important because if they can't read by fourth grade, the data shows they never show up. So there's never going to be any improvement. I want that number. Now I want to know, sir, what is the amount of funding that you're presenting in your budget to hire dyslexia screening, to hire reading interventionists one-to-one? I want to know, what are you doing to help these children who can't read so that they can actually be functionally independent? And you press them on those issues. It's not, if you are flourishing in your state, if you are not in a deficit, if there isn't chaos, then you absolutely have a right to go and present your ideas. And then on the other side, let's hear them. But when you don't have data that presents flourishing, when you have chaos and you have the nerve to then taunt it, you look ridiculous. I mean, that's the point. Is that Illinois is not flourishing economically.
That's not what he's going to say. But more to the point, the point that you're making, or the construct that you're presenting, I think is a good one, which is because we saw this with the sanctuary city mayors, right? How much has your city spent? And then they get back and forth arguing about, is it $500 million? Is it $700 million? And that's not the point. The point is the one you're making, Dawn, which is opportunity cost. You're spending all this money here, and yet there are 20,000 plus people on the PUNS list. So we're not providing services that we promised to provide to families who have a family member with a disability. That's a good way to present, to illustrate opportunity cost, and that's what we need to do a better job of.
And the other point, how many people who have the waiver, you can't find a medical provider that will accept it. And you know why? Because they'll tell you the state doesn't pay. That is the other crap that other people don't know about.
That's true.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
Dawn.
That's true. Presenting opportunity cost, like illustrating opportunity cost, is another way. Illustrating brutality, the brutality and the cruel nature of these policies. That's a word they love to use. Oh, it'd be cruel. These policies are cruel. You know why how I know they're cruel is because Katie Abraham's dead. That's how I know. So illustrating those points is the point of a hearing like this with people like that. I'm talking about Hochul and Walz and Pritzker. Will and Skokie.
Hey, how you doing? Whenever these guys go up to testify, they ask them questions. They go, well, I don't have those numbers in front of me, or I don't know, I'll get back to you with this, and so on and so forth. When you send them the invitation or subpoena to testify, say, oh, by the way, we're going to ask you about this. Could you please research those numbers and have them ready to give to us? Put them in a cage where they are required to research this stuff and come up with the numbers so they can testify about it, as opposed to weaseling out of it. That's how they do it.
Thanks, Will. Glenn in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, good morning. I would ask a couple of questions. First to Hochul. When you approached the funeral of police officer Jonathan Dillard, why were the mourners not interested in you attending? And then to Tim Walz, I would ask him about the fall of Minneapolis. Was justice served in the trial of the police officer in Minneapolis and the overall system there? And then Pritzker, I would ask about the crime in Cook County and how he, what kind of grade would he give himself on the crime in Cook County?
Thanks for the call, Glenn. For Tim Walz, I mean, I want to hear more about his relationships with the Chinese communists.
Yeah.
Remember when he was in Tiananmen Square?
Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect.
Lied.
And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress.
You know, hey, look,
years.
hey, I'm
a knucklehead, and you knuckleheads voted me for Congress.
The other thing I love about that, I mean, there's so much there. Look, I'm the first one with the courage to tell you that I poured my heart into my community. A lot of people won't tell you that, but I'm the first one. I'm the first one willing to put it on the line. I poured my heart into I'm the first one willing to tell you that I'm a hero. Yeah, I got it.
Enough about me. What do you think of me? I mean, he's
wonderful.
Insufferable. He's going to be he's such a dodo bird. I cannot wait again to see these cast of clowns testify. And originally, Dan, they were supposed to be here this week. And at first, remember, Pritzker's like, I'm not going because it's just going to be, for their benefit, or he said something to that effect, that it's all for social media clicks. And now all of a sudden they're going, but they need a month to prepare. So now it's going to be June 12th.
Well,
on
Kathy
their
Hochul, Kathy Hochul, she'll be there too. She's also a dim bulb. Kathy Hochul, this is one of those where you can follow up on something she said. This is something that she said about New York being a sanctuary state.
Okay. Those who come here legally, we want to get them jobs. I have 460,000 open jobs in the state of New York. I want them to get the proper work permits. I want them to keep their temporary protective status, if that's what they have. I want to make sure that they're part of contributing to society while they're here. That's separate from people who are criminals. Someone breaks the law, I'll be the first one to call up ICE and say, get them out of here.
How many times have you called ICE, Governor Hochul? Because every day in New York, we have stories like this.
The two officers jump in to try to stop a couple of teen suspects from carrying out an apparent assault. But soon a gang jumps in to try to stop the officers from making the arrests. Video shows the officers being shoved, objects being thrown at them, and then the group flees. Several of the teen suspects in custody, one as young as 12, one flashing gang symbols. The suspects believed to be associated with the notorious TDA gang.
So, Governor Hochul, after those TDA bangers assaulted the police officers in Times Square the other day, did you call ICE?
Oh, that's good.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
All right, turnkey. Your business is under attack 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a fact, and that's why you need turnkey. Small businesses are the low-hanging fruit. And you may think that you've protected, or you are protected, but you are vulnerable in so many ways. And cyber attacks actively prey on small businesses. But our good friends at Turnkey can protect you. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. Turnkey has a quick and efficient 12-point evaluation to determine if your business, your profits are at risk. And right now, for a limited time, Turnkey is offering the first month of service to all new customers for free. Yes, peace of mind free. It includes all Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, and complete data backup, both on-site and off-site, plus help desk support. So don't leave you, your employees, your customers vulnerable. Talk to Turnkey. Here's what you do. Visit turnkey.pro. They have 3 decades of experience. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, the champion of small business.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 708. Tim Walz reminds me of Lady Elaine Fairchild from the Mr. Rogers Show. Yeah, it's not bad. I gotta go back and listen to some clips of Lady Elaine. But there could be something there.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
We all need a little laughter. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll talk to Illinois Congresswoman Mary Miller from Southern Illinois. She is calling on sheriffs in the land of Lincoln to defy Jelly Belly and the other sanctuary state and city politicians. Mary Miller at 6:36.
And Raja and Robin, yes, they both jumped into the U.S. Senate race yesterday. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here are the headlines.
Good morning. It's 53 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Governor Pritzker will testify before Congress about the state's immigration policies. The governor's office confirmed he will voluntarily appear before the House Oversight Committee on June 12th alongside Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson testified before the committee in March about Chicago's sanctuary city policy. President Trump is calling the Obama Presidential Center project in Chicago a disaster.
During an Oval Office visit yesterday with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, Trump claimed the project has gone over budget because former President Barack Obama only hired woke people to build the center.
And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns.
Trump also claimed the job has stopped due to a lawsuit. The Obama Foundation has rejected that claim, saying the project is still on track to be completed by 2026. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space, making it seem brighter and more spacious. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
For nearly a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we've expanded Cigar Night to 2 nights. Wednesday, May 21st at Goldbert's Farm in Pingree Grove. And Thursday, May 22nd at Gaelic Park in Oak Forest. Featuring the great Larry Elder, along with AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Liberty Cigar Company.
Hey, John. Need any help over there?
Oh, hey, Chris. Oh, I'm good. Just digging some new flower beds and planting a couple shrubs.
You sure you should be doing that? You know, with your high blood pressure and all?
It's all good. I got my blood pressure under control now.
Really? New medication?
No, a superfood juice that is absolutely delicious.
A juice?
Yeah, it's 120 Life. It has 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Wow, in a juice?
Yep. So controlling my blood pressure tastes great and I feel great.
I wonder if 120 Life could fix my procrastination getting yard work done.
Not sure about that, but it sure helped me.
Certainly has. You and your yard look great.
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
If you're trying to get through your daily activities and you're noticing you can't because you're focusing more on your pain than being able to enjoy the moment, those are the patients that we're looking to treat because we can make a difference.
That's Dr. Ashley Caravelli, Chicago's medical director for QC Kinetics.
What we're doing at QC Kinetics is offering treatments that help with joint preservation. We use cutting-edge technology in our in-house lab to harness your body's natural healing powers and target the areas where you need them the most.
These are regenerative, non-surgical treatments, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader, delivering lasting relief to tens of thousands of patients.
What we do know is that the sooner we start treatment, the sooner you'll see relief.
So don't wait another minute. See if you're a good candidate for these non-surgical treatments for joint pain. The consultation is completely free.
Weekend appointments available. Call now. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 10 minutes. Outbound, about 16 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 20 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 26 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 18 minutes. Outbound, 10 minutes. This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts you're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Partly sunny and not as warm today. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Breezy in the evening tonight, otherwise increasing clouds with a low of 45. Partly sunny, breezy, and cooler on Thursday with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Interesting analysis, particularly given the source. Danny Savalos is a legal analyst for MSNBC, but he offered a pretty cut and dry, and in my view, accurate assessment of what the Trump administration has at its disposal when it comes to expedited deportations of people in this country illegally under the color of law.
Federal law allows for even broader and speedy removal than has been used in the past. And expedited removal, as you talked about, allows for summary removal. That means no entitlement even to a hearing, possibly within 24 hours. It hasn't been used as broadly as, say, the Trump administration might want to use it, but under the statute, it is permissible to remove aliens who arrive at the border and even those who have been here for 2 years, although that 2-year provision you talked about is the lesser used in practice. But just because it isn't used very often doesn't mean it's not a part of federal law that can be used. And it will be used because it's permitted under federal law. The Congress, in its infinite wisdom, decided that aliens who arrive at the border, and they define people who arrive at the border as people who have even been here 2 years, if they have fraudulent documents, if they don't have sufficient documents, they can be removed in an expedited fashion unless they seek asylum. So you don't run into those due process concerns, at least presumably because that statute, as it exists today, is still valid. Now, that's not what's at stake with the Venezuelans and the Alien Enemies Act. But the government's argument is that, hey, court, listen, you're telling us we need to provide notice. Well, take a look at this federal law. It says that we don't even need to have a hearing. It can happen within 24 hours. So if that's good enough for people who arrive here who are aliens, it's certainly okay for people that the president has deemed to be alien enemies.
Indeed. That's a good argument that they make. But in addition to that, just what he said, unless they apply for asylum is an important caveat. However, as we've talked about with Richard Epstein, as we talked about the comments that Alan Dershowitz has made, there's no reason under federal law that the asylum application has to be adjudicated while somebody who is otherwise here illegally is in the country. That can be done in a safe third country. That can be done via Zoom, and seems to me that's the way it should be done. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Congressman Mary Miller. She's from Illinois' 15th, Southern Illinois. Mary, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's a great day. President Trump is working to fulfill his campaign promises, and we're not going to let J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson get in the way. He received a clear mandate from the American people. They want immigration law enforced, and they want these people that are here illegally deported.
And so just in terms of the strategy the administration is employing and conversations you may have had with immigration officials, what about what you've heard from some legal analysts like this? Move them out under federal statute, expedited removal like Obama used, like Bill Clinton used. And to the extent that there are hearings because they've made an asylum application, well, those hearings can be adjudicated while they're on soil other than American.
Well, Pritzker is actively obstructing the enforcement of federal immigration laws. It's a direct violation of the Constitution's Supremacy Clause. The federal law takes precedence over state law. He is, trying to hinder them from coming in. And state and local governments have no right to shield illegal immigrants from federal law enforcement.
Yes, but I mean, just separating Illinois for a second and looking at this globally. I mean, any conversations with the Trump administration about, pivoting on the posture they're taking to affect the objective they have stated, which is to, starting with public safety threats, move them out as expeditiously as possible. Maybe there are other tools that should be employed right now as you fight these cases in court, or the administration does.
Well, the problem is that Pritzker has made it clear that he is not going to follow President Trump's orders and cooperate with ICE, which is criminal behavior. That's what we're dealing with right now, and that's why the Department of Justice is entering into this, and they have, in February, the DOJ sued the city of Chicago, Cook County, and the state of Illinois over sanctuary laws. And then just recently on May 1st, the DOJ filed a complaint against Illinois for encroaching on federal immigration authority.
And so in response to what Illinois has done and Pritzker is doing in real time, and we were just discussing he's going to appear before the House Oversight Committee just like Brandon Johnson did. You have issued a call for law enforcement to ignore the state's sanctuary law statute and work with ICE and the administration to help remove people in this country illegally residing in Illinois.
Yes, because first of all, the sheriffs are elected to represent the people. The people want these illegal residents to leave. And they have two choices. They're either going to follow J.B. Pritzker's illegal mandates or whatever, his laws, or they're going to follow the federal government who has the constitutional authority to regulate immigration and deport these criminals. These policies are dreadful for the citizens of Illinois and Chicago.
Have you talked to or spoken with any sheriffs in any departments in the 102 counties in Illinois that are willing to go along with this and follow Trump instead of Pritzker?
I have not, but I believe that they will support President Trump and not Pritzker. I have a good relationship with them. I've been very busy out here, but I've been watching my phone, and nobody has contacted me. And I believe that if they were upset over my call to ignore Pritzker's sanctuary policies, they would have reached out to me.
I'm not sure that they're upset, but I mean, we talk about it in the context of Chicago quite a bit too, and Chicago police officers, rank and file, have to be very careful about anything that would appear to be cooperating with ICE at the city level, for example, because they could get fired over it. And I would think sheriff personnel may have some concerns, similar concerns, although if your boss, the elected sheriff, is backing the play, then maybe not. It certainly would result in litigation with the state. I mean, Kwame Raoul would swoop in, I have no doubt. And so then there's the expense of litigating those things with sheriff's departments that don't have the same resources, some as others. So, I mean, there's all these complications. But I suppose whether sheriffs decide to openly flout what is currently Illinois law or not, the point is to focus people's attention and get this conversation going to remind people just exactly what kind of regime we live under and what those laws have engendered, just like we talk about with the Safety Act.
Yes. Well, the point is that the federal law is the supreme law of the land, and I feel terrible for the Chicago police. First of all, J.B. Pritzker, even before this, and Mayor Johnson, they have a history of preferring the criminal over the victim, and now they're preferring the illegal over citizens, and they do not support law enforcement like they should. They don't support law and order, and now they are not supporting the immigration laws. And obviously, I represent downstate, which is a different situation than in Chicago, but they are going to choose. They're going to have consequences one way or the other. They might be afraid of Raoul, but they should be more afraid of President Trump and the Department of Justice, because they're coming in and they're going to get these people. President Trump is a strong leader, and he is going to deport these people. This is bad for our country, and I don't know what it is going to take for the people that live in Chicago that keep voting for these Democrats that are ruining their life. They don't support excellent education, economic opportunity, and now, for example, they don't support safety and security of the citizens of Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take either. That's an open question. Congressman Mary Miller from Illinois' 15th downstate, as she mentioned. Congressman Miller, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
Have a good day. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-developers of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago was formulated to boost your immune system to fight off the viruses that you encounter every day. I made Virago into a liquid formula to improve the absorption and to provide a rapid response for your immune system. Taking Virago every day helps your immune system fight off all types of daily assaults. Go to myvirago.com. That's MYVIROGO.com and receive 30% off using promo code IMMUNE. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Reliability isn't optional when business security is on the line. It's essential. Businesses trust alarm detection systems for the highest level of service and expertise. Think about the time you could save using one source for cameras, keycard access, fire, and intrusion systems. ADS offers expert alarm installation and testing by highly trained technicians, 24/7 professional monitoring, same-day or next-day service upon request because downtime isn't an option, dedicated teams for cameras, access control, and fire alarms, more than 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected and will be ready to open tomorrow. They combine human monitoring with the latest AI camera technology to prevent crime in real time. Trusted by small and large businesses, including many Chicagoland schools, their security experts will review your system for free. All you do is go to adsalarm.com and schedule your appointment today. That's adsalarm.com. Alarm detection systems, the first choice of Chicagoland businesses, including our very own AM 560 The Answer and Salem Media Chicago. Alarm detection systems, the website again, adsalarm.com. Alarm license 127000143.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. With the crime we're seeing in Illinois, I know how important it is to keep my home and my family safe. That's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. One of their awesome technicians just came over and gave me a free assessment of my home. They found vulnerabilities that intruders typically look for and created a personalized plan for me. Goldilocks offers state-of-the-art smart home security systems with HD cameras, motion detectors, smart locks, mobile notifications. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control, and I'll sleep easier knowing that Goldilocks has my back. They even offer commercial security systems for any size business. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. That's GoldilocksInc.com.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
You've worked hard and accumulated wealth, but you know the pitfalls involved in passing significant assets to your heirs. The team at Spahn Financial will help you feel secure with personalized financial planning to achieve your legacy goals. They anticipate and manage all your wealth planning needs and focus on the full financial picture, including tax efficiency, income distribution throughout retirement, philanthropic giving, estate planning, and more. They even help you prepare the next generation to be good stewards. Kevin Spahn is a 2025 Barron's Top 1200 financial advisor, and Spahn Financial is a Forbes Best in State Wealth Management team. Visit SpahnFinancial.com to schedule a consultation and to view disclosures. That's SPAHN Financial.com. Barron's Top 1200 Financial Advisors List, March 2025. Data as of 9/30/2024. Forbes Best in State Wealth Management Team, January 2025. Data as of 3/31/24. No compensation provided for ratings. Marketing fees apply to promote ratings. Rankings and recognitions are no guarantee of future investment success.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
Your showrooms are employee-free.
Give the mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Why?
To save you money.
How much money?
Our 42 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393.
That's pretty good.
And through Monday, purchase a select Beauty Rest or Silly Posturepedic mattress in any size and receive a free adjustable base. Plus, free next-day delivery and free financings available too.
I like the way you do business.
Find an employee-free Chicagoland showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
Dan Proft here. You've heard our partnership with Caring Network over the last several weeks and their Reach Her First initiative. They're making a lot of progress thanks to your support as they're tirelessly working to prevent abortions here in Chicago by reaching abortion-minded women with a message of life and hope. But we still need approximately 40 more one-time donations of $150 to hit our goal. Please consider helping Caring Network of Illinois with your one-time donation of $150 by visiting 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring. Our goal is to help 500 women in total by Mother's Day, and we're so close. These are women who are considering abortion. And we want to provide services like telehealth counseling with a nurse or an in-person appointment to show a pregnant woman her baby on an ultrasound. To learn more and make your donation to Caring Network, just go to 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 707, Ivy League potty mouths at 707.
Today we're going to have sunshine. It's going to be warm, but then in the afternoon, temperature's going to start to fall. We're going to have some clouds too. High of 68, then it's going to fall into the 50s, and then tomorrow a high of 58 degrees. It is 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
They're getting ready to gather in secret. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's at a mass this morning before the conclave to elect a new pope.
Let us pray that the Holy Spirit, who in the last 100 years has given us a series of truly holy and great pontiffs, will give us a new pope according to God's heart, for the good of the church and of humanity.
That's Cardinal Bautista Rey before 133 other cardinals go inside the Sistine Chapel to vote on who will replace Pope Francis, who died last month.
The cardinals will take their oath to secrecy, and all of that will take place in a matter of hours.
Fox's Alex Hogan at the Vatican.
They've been meeting in the last week to get to know each other, discussing this choice and what the future of the Catholic Church will look like.
Two-thirds of the cardinals will have to agree on who should be the next pope. Two nuclear-armed rivals are fighting each other again. India has attacked a region of Kashmir controlled by Pakistan, retaliating for a terror attack last month it blames on Pakistan. The Indian missile strikes have killed at least 31 people.
Pakistan's Prime Minister calls it an act of war. India says it's hit 9 locations housing terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-controlled Kashmir. In response, cross-border shelling, which according to the Indian militaries resulted in several civilian deaths. Pakistan claims to have shot down a number of Indian fighter jets.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Trump says he hopes the conflict ends quickly. Former President Biden's taking a swipe at his successor, telling BBC in his first interview since leaving office that Trump attempts to retake the Panama Canal and take control of Greenland and make Canada a U.S. state have led Europeans to distrust the U.S. Today is the day the mandate to have a real ID goes into effect for people to board an airplane or get into some federal buildings.
Real ID is part of a law passed by Congress 20 years ago, though the Department of Homeland Security saying extra steps and a valid passport will also work for now, in order to fly for those who haven't yet been able to get the real ID.
Jeff Manasso, America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Good morning. It's 54 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The Department of Justice is announcing the largest fentanyl seizure in U.S. history.
Tuesday, Attorney General Pam Bondi said officers seized over 11 kilos of fentanyl, including 3 million pills labeled as oxycodone that were laced with fentanyl. Bondi said Sinaloa cartel members living in the U.S. illegally were behind the operation. She said the leader was operating out of Salem, Oregon, and the drugs were being moved through Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah. 6 alleged cartel members have been arrested. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Officials have identified the remains of a Pennsylvania soldier reported as missing during the Korean War.
U.S. Army Private First Class Roland Lee Bowser was reported missing in November of 1950. Returning prisoners said the 20-year-old had died in captivity in North Korea in June of 1951. The Defense POW MIA accounting agency reports that Bowser's remains were positively identified in March, and he'll be buried at a later date in Arlington National Cemetery. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
The time has come to have a real ID to board a plane. Today is the deadline. However, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says travelers without real ID will still be able to board flights for the time being. The Chicago City Council's Public Safety Committee is delaying a vote on proposed SNAP curfews for a second time. Perry Williams has more.
The plan calls for temporary curfews for unaccompanied minors as a way to curb teen takeovers in the city. Mayor Brandon Johnson isn't quite all in on the proposal.
My position around curfew is it's the position that 12 rigorous studies have gone through, that there is no empirical evidence that lowering the curfew is going to reduce or eliminate those type of incidents.
News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew. Anytime, anywhere, any place when you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people pay to share their opinions, and this ad plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
For nearly a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we've expanded Cigar Night to 2 nights. Wednesday, May 21st at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove. And Thursday, May 22nd at Gaelic Park in Oak Forest. Featuring the great Larry Elder, along with AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Fox Valley Coins.
8 years. It has been 8 years since QC Kinetics has been the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and this is remarkable. Using regenerative cell therapy to restore tissue in your achy joints. These are biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. Listen, it's a powerful and potent way to give your joints the new life and repairing old tissue. Best part, there's no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. This is an all-natural option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoyed this summer without joint pain. Here's what I want you to do. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics and ask for your free consultation. You have nothing to lose. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
From the Team Hoffer Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 19 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 14 minutes. Outbound, 36 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 37 minutes. Outbound, 26 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 36 minutes. Outbound, 25 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 19 minutes. Outbound, about 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. For a limited time, Turnkey is offering all new customers their first month of service free, including Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, data backup, plus 24/7 help desk support. Visit turnkey.pro today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, partly sunny and not as warm. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Tonight, breezy this evening. Otherwise, increasing clouds with a low of 45. Thursday, partly sunny, breezy, and cooler with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
'Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to get to Ivy League potty mouse because it's really more of the we're all on one big college campus now kind of story about the use of profanity. But just a couple of things in passing on the campus beat. Charges against 7 pro-Hamas protesters at the University of Michigan have been dropped. And the word came down from Dana Nussel, who's the Attorney General in the state of Michigan.
Why? Why?
Because politics.
Oh, yeah. It
That's
doesn't
why.
look good.
If I could just skip to the end, because politics.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Defense attorneys for the 7 were surprised. They were preparing to make closing arguments. But no. Dana Nussel, who is a crazy left, she's just a crazy leftist. And she's suborned all sorts of nonsense in the state of Michigan, as I'm sure Michiganders could attest to. At least those who are not also criminally insane left. Yeah, she's just doing this for political reasons. Much like Hennepin County, Minnesota prosecutor Moriarty. Why does the guy who did $20,000 of damage by vandalizing a handful of Teslas, who's a state employee, charges dropped? We'll do a restorative justice thing. Why?
Justice.
Politics.
Yeah.
Why does the University of Washington allow Seattle's Antifa to set fires and take over its campus with no response from the police? This is real time. I'm not talking about like post George Floyd. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about like yesterday. Why does that happen? Politics. Because, repeat it with me, the left sees violence as a legitimate means to political ends. I'm going to have some refrigerator magnets made with that saying so that people can post them in a place they see and be reminded daily of this reality. But something that is less about politics and more just about culture. This is a good piece. Guess who's cussing at dinner? See what he did there?
Yeah.
The pediatrician from the West Coast, I believe. Yeah, Santa Monica. My wife and I attended dinner at a friend's house. I was seated next to a young lady I'd never met, but I knew she was an Ivy League graduate. Anybody want to switch seats with me? That should have been your first reaction. This is where the doc screwed up.
Okay.
During our dinner chat, she managed to lace into our conversation a string of vulgarities covering the gamut of things I wasn't allowed to say as a child. Halfway through the evening, she stopped, looked at me quizzically, and asked if her language was offending me. I responded that I wasn't offended, but I explained that I personally try to refrain from foul language. Being the inquisitive and bright person she is, yeah, that's generous. She asked why. Why refrain from, the range of categories of profanity in having polite dinner conversation? I mean, the fact that you have to ask why, that's not obvious to her, says something.
Are you sure this isn't a Why Dan Proft is single segment?
Well, it could be.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because one, I wouldn't want to talk to this person I already know, and two, I wouldn't want to go to a dinner party. Well, period. Generally speaking, but also with this, my sense of the nature of the company here. But I digress.
Okay.
Because we've talked about this in the context of politicians now being much more freewheeling, using profanity to sound like they're tough hombres and hombreettes.
Right. Somebody handed out a memo to all the Democrats saying, let's step it up a notch. Let's bump it up and start using profanity.
And Trump does it too, from time to time. It's not screeds, but he'll use the bull jive word or, But so, this whole, cultural degradation, I would describe. Now, I am undisciplined sometimes when I get upset about sculling a 7-iron or something like that. So it's not like I'm, not guilty
a pretty princess.
Well, yeah, it's not like I'm not guilty of using choice words, but not in polite conversation or dinner conversation.
No, you would never. Come on. Your mom would roll over in her grave if she heard you talk like that. You would never do that.
So this doc has 4 reasons why he relayed to this Ivy League graduate as to why she shouldn't be dropping F-bombs when she passes the salad. All right. First, words evoke images and have meaning. Humans have advanced through verbal communication, and this ability has allowed us to survive. When someone shouts the word wolves, I, along with everyone else, immediately visualize a pack of wolves coming and seeking shelter. Likewise, when a scatological term is employed to describe a situation, I envision the physical form of that word too, and while having dinner, my appetite isn't enhanced. Okay, so she must have said, stick something up somebody's hindquarters at some point during the meal, and that
I'm getting that visual. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there at the table with them. Keep going.
That's one reason. The best part about this essay is that you have a pediatrician from Santa Monica talking to an Ivy League graduate like she is a child. Let me explain to you why I don't need to hear this phrase and that phrase, this word and that word at dinner. But I mean, there is this larger conversation beyond, my dinner with Andrea here going on. That
dinner with Ivy League potty mouth.
Yeah, but I mean, just the use of profanity, and I mean, I'd be interested too, like your kids, or in conversation with your kids, or with young people in public settings, or at group events like a dinner party. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you see more prevalence? Do you see a greater degradation of language? It has to be occurring because fewer and fewer people can read. So they're relegated to what is in the common vernacular, and what is in the common vernacular is
cuss words.
Yeah. All right. So the second reason why dropping F-bombs and making references to people's privates is untoward during dinner.
All right. Then I have another question for you. Sorry.
A second, I know that young ears listen to what adults say and mimic what they hear. Obscenities are something most parents don't want to hear from their children. Most dads and moms relate to me their self-imposed imperative of cleaning up their language after hearing their 2-year-olds repeat their 4-letter words.
Oh, we always see those videos.
Right.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
I dropped the F word.
Isn't she cute until she, MFs you in response to something she heard from you? Yeah.
Uses the B word. Hey, where'd you hear that from, Dad?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This bee is ruining my life. Wait, where did you hear that? Third reason, foul language is cheap. Yeah. Comedians employ it to get nervous laughs, teenagers to seem cool, and to get their parents' attention. But dirty words don't impress. They're anti-intellectual and uncreative. To describe everything one doesn't agree with as bull blank is the height of verbal laziness. The English language is rich with nouns and adjectives that would suffice.
Well,
nothing groundbreaking here.
Have you ever gone down the cussing hole? I mean, where you had times in your life where you would swear a lot, then you have a friend stop you and say, why don't you stop swearing so much?
No, but tell us about the time that it happened to you, because you're obviously relating a personal story.
No, that happens. I've had coworkers. I know Allison Rosati never swears, ever, never, ever heard her swear. And when she just says, I will never swear. She does not swear. Neither does Ann Thompson from NBC News when I worked with her in Detroit. Never swears. Just will not. She'll say Jesus, Joseph, Mary, or something. Whatever you Catholics say.
Yeah. I try to use like the Peanuts, like good grief.
Okay. Oh, you do say good grief a lot.
When I slam my club on the ground, something like that, or.
Have you ever broken a club real quick when you've.
Golly, like Jim Neighbors. Or God Bless America, rather than something.
I've done that
more profane.
God Bless America.
But so what happened? Like, so was this at NBC5 where they pulled you aside and said, once you stop talking like a trucker?
Watch your mouth. No, just a conversation I had with her. It was years ago, but she just said it's people judge you by the words you use and
stop talking like a longshoreman, Jacobson. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do. I go through it. It ebbs and flows where I'm just dropping swears and F-bombs. It's awful, and then and then I go back to that. But I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it. I mean, there's times where even like a profanity screech to yourself, like, or you're just talking to yourself, like when I get back. The check I have to write to the IRS for my accountant last month. That was a profanity-laced screed.
All right.
Fourth reason, profanity, the language of the insane. Living in a city with a lot of homeless people, I encounter mentally unstable people daily. Most are silently absorbed in their own thoughts, but some sound off. Their diatribes consist of truncated shock vocabulary of 5 to 10 vulgarities, the exact same potty words that my dinner mate from the Ivy League used. You sound like an insane homeless person. Yeah, that's jarring. Mm-hmm. And he concludes by saying, scatological speech is creeping farther into our culture. Podcasters, rappers, and newscasters frequently use vulgarity that would have been unspeakable in such a public forum only a few years ago. Politicians are likewise chiming in. Kamala Harris dropped an F-bomb in a public campaign speech last spring. Donald Trump did so in an October interview with the Wall Street Journal. Casting off restraint isn't how great nations prosper. Gutter talk debases us into the gutter, while intelligent and proper language elevates. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that this is in controversy, but, well, it's got to be in some controversy because there's a lot of people not doing it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on our very same line.
What did you tell Peyton and Eli when they started learning some of the Carlin words and using them in interactions?
Well, one time when I was coaching them in volleyball, my youngest, he missed a spike and he yelled the F word so loud that I think everybody at Taft heard, and he got a yellow card for that. Oh, no, actually he got a red card for that, so that stopped that, and he never swore, and I always tell people, watch your language, and even when I'm doing other things, if I'm around kids, I always say, watch your language. I'll just, you know what I say language, and they get kind of like, oh, okay, so, no, but
and
my
then you
kids,
take out the belt?
Yeah, no. Peyton's not a big, he doesn't swear, he's upper crust, Dan.
Yeah.
The guy just got another round of straight A's at Georgia Tech this year.
Very, very impressive.
Got
He's
his
going places.
finals back yesterday, and I was just so proud of him. And then my little one, he doesn't swear a lot either. He just doesn't. I mean, he did in high school, and he's a hothead, but he's grown up a lot.
What about to the children you used to work with at NBC5? How'd you tell Marchie and Greco to clean it up?
No, I like, freedom of speech. It wasn't like it was running rampant or anything. And Warner Saunders never swore. What a lovely man. I mean, I miss him. I think about him all the time. He was just, just a gem.
All right.
What about you? I mean, what about when your friends swear, like Sean Thompson? Or does he just say, everybody's a moron? Do you like my impersonation of Sean?
Yeah, it's not inaccurate, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, there's... Do
you ever tell him to, or not just him, but other friends of yours, do you ever tell him to, pipe it down, or let him cook?
Yeah, it's sort of, in my friend circle, it's sort of past post.
Oh.
They're too far gone to change at this point. It's too ingrained. So,
Trump. Trump's not going to change.
You just got to let it go, I guess. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing, there are some guys that use the F word like every other word, and it really is tiresome. And it's almost impossible to have a conversation. Because they're really not even having a conversation.
Do you hear yourself?
It's sort of like Sean does sometimes, too. It's not a conversation. There's just a list of grievances that he fires at you. But you're not having a conversation. He's just using you as like a rhetorical dartboard for all of his grievances with the world. Ron, Southside. Ron's a gentleman. He's not going to like profanity.
Amy, make sure to tell your sons to keep it up. Guys, I'm going to tell you, it's two things that I have a disdain for. People that litter and people that use profanity constantly. I think my wife talk about that because sometimes we would talk about, people who use profanity a lot, our friends stuff, but I was just enjoying listening because it really upsets me to the point that even when I was working, I just tried to avoid people. And now, look, don't get me wrong. We use some profanity sometimes. I get angry.
Sure.
But, but really.
You wouldn't like Ron when he's angry.
Oh, no.
He's like the Hulk.
Don't look at me.
Oh, well, you all have. I'm just sitting back.
Ron, what is more...
I had to call.
Wait, Ron, what upsets you more, hearing like profanity like in a dinner party setting like we were describing, or you're doing a cross-country trip and you're driving down the road and your windshield gets hit with a McDonald's bag of garbage?
That's please
Which
say
is-
garbage.
which is-
There.
Say the garbage.
It was just a beautiful Sunday day. You had to present that.
Thanks for
No,
the
I'm
call,
telling
Ron.
you, I have seen people drop out of their vehicles on Addison. They're eating their McDonald's, and you know how they give you the cup holder? So that full of glass, or I'm sorry, cups, 4 full of cups, and a bag, and just throw it out the window. And I was out of my mind.
What are you talking about? It's their property.
No,
They pay
it's,
for it.
Oh my God.
It's their
We have
property.
cultural differences here. And Montrose Beach last summer was sick because of all the people that were here illegally that lived in the shelter across the street. There's 700 of them, and they never threw away their garbage. I was like, póngate tu basura, por favor. Like, nah, walk away.
They couldn't
Leave all
understand
their
your Spanish
garbage.
because they were
Throw your
they were
garbage.
English speakers. Is that why?
No, they spoke Spanish, and I can speak
the
Spanish.
honky lady is loco.
Muy fleca loquita. Yo conozco. I know this, but I'm just saying that, please, they knew exactly what I was saying, and they just left all their garbage there. Because that's what they do in their country. In Haiti and in Mexico and in the Dominican.
No,
they leave their
no,
plastic
no.
bottles and all
Go-
their garbage there. Pisses me off.
Please look
I'm
at
sorry,
look at
makes me
highway
upset.
medians. Go
Oh, I
back
know.
and highway medians from
Exit ramps.
from when I was a kid. They were garbage filled.
I know, and they still are.
It's a culture thing, and it has nothing to do necessarily with importing
No.
it from other countries. It's much different. Like there's a much different attitude about it than there used to be. That's an improvement,
Right,
in
because
a
of the
sense.
Indian overlooking the landfill.
Oh,
crying
yeah,
with
right,
The
the
tear coming
tear,
down his eye.
yeah,
Well, that PSA was a great
That was a
service
good-
to society.
It was good marketing, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah.
and
Go
now-
back and go watch Freaks and Geeks, and you'll be reminded of all the
damn
sort of
Rothschild.
cultural norms of not that long ago, and how much they've changed.
Okay.
Freaks and Geeks is so good.
All right, I'll watch. Honestly, is it the
You
damn
never seen-
prop
you never
story?
seen it?
No, of course I haven't seen it.
That was
Freaks and
the big break for Seth Rogen and Jason Segel, James Franco. Why am I blanking on the
I'm going to watch the
Linda
trailer.
Cardellini?
All right.
Yeah, it was very good. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Yeah, my dad used to say that, when somebody swore a lot, they were using it as filler because they didn't have much else to say. And funny, not so funny, quick story. We were all at a family dinner one time, and my niece was 3 years old. She turned to my mom and she said, "Grandma, you're an effing AH." And everybody at the table just dropped their fork. And my mom said, "Where did you hear that?" And she said, from Mommy. And I mean, my father was just like beside himself. We all were.
So who got hit the hardest?
What's going on over there?
Dan always goes back to the
Yeah.
belt.
Yeah.
Who got smacked up?
Yeah. Oh boy. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's an uncomfortable dinner.
Yeah. Hello. Things just got weird.
Thanks, Deborah. Rick, Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. You know how they say there's always an exception to every rule? I think the exception to the profanity-laden tirade rule is somebody with a nice English accent laying into you with a profanity-laden tirade. I mean, it's like a lullaby. Put you to sleep.
Yeah. I mean,
To
those
sleep.
are profound. Those are moments you're like, can you repeat that, please?
Thanks for the call, Rick. Yeah, there's a certain word. If you're watching the series Mobland with Pierce Brosnan and
like
Helen Mirren and Tom Hardy, it's very good.
Okay.
There's a certain word that is used casually with great frequency, but the way that it's done, the context and the tone and the delivery, it is sort of enjoyable.
All right. I'm going to download Mob. So I'm going to watch Freaks and Geeks, and I'm going to start Mobland.
Yeah, you got a lot to do.
Do you watch? Have you seen The Last of Us? Are you watching that?
No, that's that. I watched, I think, an episode or two. That is just treacly silliness.
Well, I got into it because I wanted to do something with the boys, and they got me hooked on it. So, season 2 is out now.
Well, apparently, I'm
I'll
going
enjoy
to
my
need to
time with
provide some tutelage about refining the palates of Peyton and Eli when it comes to the consumption of arts, the arts.
Did you ever watch Black Mirror?
Black
I
Mirror is
watched that
great.
too.
Actually,
I love that.
the latest season is very
Oh,
good.
did you see the last episode?
I've seen them all. Yeah.
Oh, it's good, wasn't it? Computer?
That wasn't my favorite. You know what was really good?
Which one?
And he's so good. He's a really underrated actor. He's not mentioned a lot, but the eulogy episode with Paul Giamatti. That was very good.
Yep. Okay.
Kevin, the Prime Minister in Ogden Dunes.
Oh, boy. Hey. Is he going to swear in
tell
Irish?
a lot about a person when they don't get what they want. You can tell a lot about them. I don't do the profanity, but I do the amateur vanity. Sweet mother of pearl.
There you go. Sweet mother of pearl. There you go. That's a good one.
Thanks
you,
for
Prime
the call,
Minister.
PM. All right, coming up at 7:37, we'll do something completely different. We'll cleanse our palate, and we'll talk about some serious business. War between India and Pakistan, is that brewing? Dr. Zuhdi Jasser joins us to discuss at 7:37.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 54 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. India says it launched military strikes into Pakistan.
President Trump responded to India's military firing multiple missiles.
It's a shame we just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval.
In a statement, the country's Ministry of Defense said it attacked terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and in the disputed Kashmir region. India insists these strikes are non-escalatory in nature and that no Pakistani military facilities were targeted. A spokesperson for the Pakistani military acknowledged the strikes and said Pakistan will respond to it at a time and place of its own choosing. This comes after dozens of tourists were killed by gunmen last month inside a region of Kashmir controlled by India. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Janulius is debunking myths about the Real ID. Janulius said that the vast majority of people don't need a Real ID before the deadline today.
We have been saying for months and over a year now that even after May 7th, you will still be able to get a Real ID.
The federal government is requiring anybody boarding a domestic flight to show either a passport or Real ID starting today. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualified today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we've expanded Cigar Night to 2 nights. Wednesday, May 21st at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove. And Thursday, May 22nd at Gaelic Park in Oak Forest. Featuring the great Larry Elder, along with AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Level 10 Coatings.
Time now for the Chicagoland Retirement Report. Danielle Martin here with financial advisor Scott Tucker, president of Scott Tucker Solutions. When we go through days or weeks of volatility in the markets, it's hard to know what to do. So, Scott, what can you tell us?
Danielle, I think when there's market volatility, it can freak some folks out. You can be fearful. You might make sudden decisions that may not be in your long-term benefit. A lot of folks race to look at what their 401k or their IRA balances. And we want to caution folks to kind of slow down a little bit. A lot of folks want to sell at the bottom and buy at the top. If you've already experienced some losses, let's just talk about it.
That's right. A lot of people still have major concerns about their retirement plan, but the good news is you and your team have created an offer for our listeners, Scott. So tell us more about this.
Right, Danielle. The offer today is a Retirement Decoded Toolkit. My staff at Scott Tucker Solutions put this together, and you can claim your Retirement Decoded Toolkit by texting the keyword book. You can call or text the keyword book to 224-496-3999 or go to retirementdecoded.com. So you can text the keyword book, B-O-O-K, to 224-496-3999 or call that number, 224-496-3999. Might be easier to remember. You can just go to retirementdecoded.com. At retirementdecoded.com, you just enter in some information and we'll get your copy of Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go, as well as the Retirement Decoded Toolkit. I think it could really help you with these types of market volatility.
That's right. If you have questions about your retirement, take advantage of this offer today. It's very simple. Call or text the word book to 224-496-3999. Again, that's the word book to 224-496-3999. Or head to retirementdecoded.com to get your toolkit today.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Firm does not provide tax services.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
From the Team Hawkesburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes, 15 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 17 minutes, about 51 minutes outbound. On the Eisenhower inbound from around Wolf to the Old Post Office, 43 minutes outbound, 30 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 39 minutes outbound, 26 minutes. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Partly sunny and not as warm today. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Breezy in the evening tonight, otherwise increasing clouds with a low of 45. Partly sunny, breezy, and cooler on Thursday with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, while Canadian PM Mark Carney was visiting the White House, Trump took the occasion to address the press corps with an update on the situation in Yemen and our bombing of the Houthis to protect trade routes. And Trump had some good news to report.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated. But more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore, and that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were.
Peace through strength. Down goes another Iranian proxy, at least for now. But on the bad news front, when it comes to the topic of war and peace, India launched a major military operation against Pakistan and Pakistani Kashmir. The Indians saying it was to weaken terrorist infrastructure that the Pakistanis had built up in the area of Kashmir they control. This is, of course, a territory it's very reminiscent of the Middle East in terms of dynamics, in the sense that it's a territory that's been in dispute for 75 years. This comes after another sort of parallel. This comes after an attack last month in which 26 tourists were massacred in a seeming terrorist attack in the Indian-controlled portion of Kashmir. And so, here you have something sort of reminiscent to October 7th, right, and then a response. And so does a region that has always been contentious does it have the prospect of really spilling out into significant war? And don't forget, we're talking about two nuclear powers here. For more on these geopolitical topics, pleased to be joined again by Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, the co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement, and former U.S. Navy lieutenant commander, and a former candidate for Congress. And I want to talk to him about last year's election, too, but we'll get to that a bit later. Dr. Jasser, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me back.
Well, first of all, the importance of the Houthis crying uncle.
Well, this is the importance of President Trump filling in the power vacuum that's existed globally. And, as you mentioned, militants only respond to strength. And ultimately, this is the response that Secretary Hicks has and others. Now, I'll remind you, in Trump's first administration, it only took Secretary Maddox, 6 months to get rid of ISIS. And ultimately, that then decimated them. And now in his second term, President Trump has been able to do similarly with the Houthis. And the Iranians, it's not just all about the Houthis. We're trying to end the conflict in Israel. Israel has had many proxy conflicts with Iran. And Hamas was armed by Iran as a result of President Biden turning a blind eye and relieving the maximum pressure campaign. So I think this is the beginning of the first shoe that'll drop in the realignment of a peaceful Middle East and hopefully begin Abraham Accords 2.0. But I hope the Israeli government is able to secure a surrender from the Palestinians, which is something I've called for, that ultimately, this conflict needs to end with a surrender, a full-off surrender. Hamas has been weakened significantly in Israel, and they no longer have significant support, and I think it's time after all these decades to secure a surrender from the Palestinians. And the Houthis ultimately basically doing that is the first sign of that might be imminent in the future.
It'd be nice if we could get the support for Hamas weakened on college campuses around America, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, this is not only a battle against hate, bigotry, anti-Semitism, and our government funding a lot of that, but it's also about free speech. It's about recalibrating what the West stands for. And ultimately, this is a battle between the red-green axis and Western freedom. That red-green axis is the far-left extremists from China and other global interests working with the Islamists in our educational systems, funding them through billions coming from China and Qatar and Turkey and elsewhere. And the universities have just been a wasteland of marginalization of Western ideas in exchange for extremism. And I think finally we're beginning to see some accountability in the bastions of lack of free speech, which the universities should actually be fostering academic learning, not fostering hate and bigotry.
With respect to Pakistan and India, what kind of terrorist infrastructure are we talking about? I mean, we understand from their hiding of Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad that Pakistan is not our friends, even if sometimes technically they're referred to as an ally. But what do you see as happening in that region, and how much of a spark is the massacre that drew this response?
Well, first of all, that conflict is baked in the history, and it's a conflict between, I've always said one of the worst ideas of the 20th century was the creation of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. You have a secular liberal democracy of India that then put next to it a Islamic Republic, and in that Islamic Republic is a large political movement of political Islamists, and the equivalent of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt in Pakistan is Jamaat Islamiyya. It's a massive political party, and there's no doubt that they have significant influence and control over the intelligence services, with significant influence. Even though the Pakistani military is supposedly secular in its government, it has, with a wink and a nod and a tip of the head, given significant influence to the Islamists, which are basically terrorist groups, like the Jamaat Islamiyya, like the Brotherhood should be labeled a terrorist group. Jamaat Islamiyya is, and its offshoots, just like the Brotherhood produced Hamas, Jamaat Islami in Pakistan produced Lashkar-Taiba, LET. And LET committed this act on April 22nd in a way very similar to October 7, in which it basically went tourist to tourist and identified them as Hindus and then slaughtered them on April 22nd. And India is responding appropriately to say this is where their outposts are. What's unique, and by the way, this isn't new. There have been 5 major conflicts since 47. In 47, 65, a major one in 99 between India and Pakistan, and then in 16 and 19. And this one, what's unique is it's not just in the contested areas. Kashmir has 2 areas, 55% run by India, 45% run by Pakistan. So it's sort of this contested area, similar to Gaza, if you will. And this time, what's a little different is India executed some operations in Pakistan's territory. And you give a perfect example. We did the same thing. Pakistan's supposedly an ally, and yet in order to get rid of bin Laden, we had to do it without even notifying their intelligence services because they are so compromised.
So what happens here? I mean, thinking, just putting this through the prism of America's interests, you have another potential conflagration, I suppose, given the historical animosity that you were describing. And what is America's interest from your perspective, and what should America do in furtherance of said interest?
Well, we formed a Clarity Coalition. Clarity stands for Champions for Liberty Against the Reality of Islamist Tyranny, because whether it's in Pakistan, Israel, or in the West, this is going to be the conflict of the 21st centuries between Western liberal democracies and Islamist regimes. And this one really, again, highlights where we should be. Iran already is in Pakistan trying to negotiate, as if Iran can negotiate anything, but trying to exert their power and going to Pakistan, and then they're going to go to India. So, I think the next step is for us, and, Vice President Vance was already recently in India. I think India might be one of the first countries to settle an arrangement with us with the tariffs because we have so much trade exchange with them. So not only militarily and security-wise in the region, but economically, India has a lot to gain for us to weigh in heavier than Iran will. And I think ultimately setting a standard, if you will, across the world from Israel to India to say that we will take the side of liberal democracies against political Islamist regimes, whether it's fueled by our so-called allies like Pakistan, or whether it's fueled by militant groups like Houthis and Lashkar-Taiba. So, yeah, this is a power struggle. There's even an area in Kashmir that China has been trying to exert influence in, and India has, has not been happy with that. So I think President Trump's multiple fronts that he's opened just in the past few months are going to serve to be a position of strength for us in this area. And the Kashmir conflict has been blind to who's in the White House. But I do think that the power vacuum across the world that the Islamists are trying to fill is not going to be acquiesced to under a Trump administration.
Do you think that more focus should be put on this region of the world, and particularly India as an ally, and maybe we spend too much time looking at an aging and sclerotic Western Europe and a conflict like that between Russia and Ukraine per Putin's invasion of Ukraine, and that we really need to be thinking more about emerging countries like India when it comes to what you just said about liberal democracies versus Islamist regimes, and also sort of juxtaposing ourselves and our allies against the Chinese communists?
100%. And you hit the nail on the head, which is what is going to be sort of the legacy of a Trump doctrine. And I think the Trump doctrine is going to be about economic independence. And we see some of that swing happening, which is that aging European socialist leftist democracy. The German election appears to have swayed towards conservatives. Italy is now being led by conservatives. And when we talk about conservatives in Europe, we're talking more about national identity movements, if you will. Now, we have to be careful. Europe's history on swinging to national identity movements is horrible in the early 20th century. So the way to balance that is with free markets, with liberalism, with a sense of economic independence, not national bigotry, but economic independence. Same thing's happening in India. India, if it swings to secular democracy with a market opening with balanced exchange, is a good democracy. If it swings to Hindu nationalism, it can be a problem and end up in a conflagration with Pakistan because it's sort of a battle between Hindu nationalism versus Islamist nationalism. But Islamist nationalism is a global plague that ultimately we need to defeat and marginalize, and we can do that in the West. We have the ability in coalitions like what I mentioned to you earlier at claritycoalition.org. We're bringing together diverse, different organizations that really want to protect our countries like America, Canada, Britain, and others, that we believe as Muslims in the West that our first allegiance is to our countries that give us freedom and not to our global faith, which is a personal faith. And that's the battle of the 21st century, is to bring Islam into the 21st century away from 12th, 13th century theocracy.
So I have to ask you, so we talked about this a couple of times when you were on the show last cycle, but you ran for Congress, Republican primary in Arizona. You finished a close second in the primary, and then the Democrat won that seat. So sort of a swing to pick up seat opportunity. One, just, how was that experience, and would you do it again?
I cannot tell you how amazing that experience was. It reminds me of the importance that my grandfather instilled in me and the value of American democracy, and to be a part of a representative democracy where the civilian government runs the military, runs our society, and people have a voice. As we see Syria, where my family escaped, descending into a jihadist-run government right now. I'm just amazed to meet the voters at the legislative districts and learn about the issues that we all care about, from the border security, now beginning to see that sealed up completely, to not a rational immigration policy, to an economy that is about America first. So I learned a lot, and as a first-time candidate, the other candidates had a head start on name recognition. This seat can be flipped. I think now, as we look at the next cycle in 26, if we're going to maintain a majority, these are the types of seats that we need to win. Many candidates, the first time around aren't successful and come back, and as voters look deeper into what our candidacy is about, are able to then ascend above. And this is only a 2% Democrat district in the past. Greg Stan has been missing in action, so he's very vulnerable, and we look forward to possibly bringing it back to him again.
All right. I mean, just in terms of your calculus to run again, if I could just offer one piece of advice.
Oh, here we go.
You may, and again, I've run for office and lost too, but you may want to, and this may be a little bit self-serving, but you may want to consider, Dr. Jasser, that you're too smart for electoral politics.
Oh, you two have something in common, yes.
Yeah, you may want to just consider that.
Well, thank you. I hope part of my legacy is to get good people to want to run, to be part of our leadership in Congress, and don't underestimate the intelligence of voters to get the right people in there once we're able to get the less smart people out of there. So thank you.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement, and former U.S. Navy lieutenant commander. Dr. Jasser, thank you as always. Appreciate your time.
Anytime. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as is possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local, family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
All right. As you get older, you get some pain sporadically in your knees or your hip or your back or your shoulder. And if it persists, you think about surgery, but you don't have to. You should think about QC Kinetics first before you go under the knife. Why? We all know someone who's had a knee or hip replacement who is still miserable. And when you ask them about it, they'll say, yeah, nothing feels the same. And one of my family members, he still walks up the stairs and he can feel his kneecaps swishing to the right and left. Nothing changed. So before you go under the knife, please call our very good friends at QC Kinetics. We're talking about regenerative medicine. They'll walk you through the process, explain how your own properties can help rebuild or get rid of, I should say, the pain in your knees, in your hip, in your back, in your shoulder. So here's what you do. Just know that this is a powerful and potent way to give your joints new life and repair old tissue. So again, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime, all natural option, lasting relief. They have 50,000 satisfied customers, and you could be next. The number to call, where they can explain how it works, is 312-809-5955. It is a free consultation. They have appointments on Saturdays, and they have offices all around the Chicagoland area. The number to call to schedule that free consultation, 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
You've heard us talk about our campaign this spring with Caring Network. They're a local pro-life organization based in Chicagoland, and they're working to prevent abortions in Illinois by reaching abortion-minded women with a message of life and hope. But they need your help to do that. Illinois has unfortunately become a destination for so-called abortion tourism. As our neighboring states have imposed reasonable restrictions on abortion, more women are coming to Illinois. In fact, the number of abortions in Illinois has doubled in less than 7 years. Caring Network is committed to reaching the abortion-minded woman, the woman who gets pregnant unexpectedly and is likely to go to a Planned Parenthood or another abortion provider to end her pregnancy. Caring Network needs your help to reach her first. You can help this effort by making a one-time donation of $150. That amount will make it possible for Caring Network to reach 5 women who are considering abortion. Reaching her first means providing services like telehealth counseling with a nurse or scheduling an in-person appointment to show a pregnant woman her baby on an ultrasound. To learn more and to make a donation to Caring Network, just go to 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Here are some of the testimonials of Virago users.
Hello, my name is Jim Thompson.
I started taking Virago about 1.5 years ago. I was diagnosed with a heart condition, and in fact, I was at the Cleveland Clinic applying for one of their trials. The bad news is that I was not accepted for the trial. The good news is that my heart was healthier than they wanted, and I believe that's a result of taking Virago. I can also attest that I have not had the flu or COVID since I started taking Virago. I can definitely attest to my satisfaction with staying healthy by taking Virago every day.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
DREG needs to be a big part of the big, beautiful bill, argues Phil Kerpen from the American Commitment. He will join us to discuss at 8:08.
Love him. It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's almost time to pick the next pope. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In just a few hours, 133 cardinals will gather in the Sistine Chapel to decide who should replace Pope Francis, who died last month.
Let us pray that God will grant the Church a Pope who knows how best to awaken the consciences of all and the moral spiritual energies in today's society.
That was Cardinal Battista Ray at a mass this morning before the conclave, where the cardinals will have no phones or any type of communication.
They take an oath swearing to never reveal what happens at the conclave, and they vote by secret ballot.
They'll vote once today, and if no one's chosen, Fox's Bill Hemmer also details what happens next.
The cardinals will vote 4 times each day until one candidate receives 2/3 of the votes. After each vote, if nobody receives enough support, the ballots go into a stove with chemicals to make black smoke. When one candidate receives enough votes, the final ballots are burned with a chemical that turns the smoke white.
The U.S. and China are finally going to talk amid a trade war with massive tariffs still in place. Fox's Tanya J. Powers reports.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer will meet with their Chinese counterparts in what could be the first step in the resolution of a trade war initiated by President Trump's high tariffs on imports. Bessent set expectations on Fox's The Ingram Angle.
We've agreed to talk. Then on Saturday and Sunday, we will agree what we're going to talk about. My sense is that this will be about de-escalation, not about the big trade deal.
It's up to 31 people dead in the Indian missile strikes on a region of Kashmir controlled by Pakistan, which calls it an act of war, claiming it also shot down some Indian fighter jets. India says it's retaliation for a terror attack last month. President Trump says,
I just hope it ends very quickly.
America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 58 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The U.S. trade deficit hit a high record in March as companies raced to import goods ahead of new tariffs.
Government figures show the trade gap rose by 14% to more than $140 billion for the month. The larger-than-expected jump comes as businesses rush to lock in cheaper prices on foreign products before the start of the White House tariffs. So far this year, the trade deficit has spiked more than 90% compared to the same period in 2024. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Over 130 cardinals are convening today to elect a new pope in a secret ceremony at the Sistine Chapel.
The papal election is called a conclave, and it dates back to the 13th century. The election of a new pope will be signified by white smoke from a chimney installed in the chapel. Unsuccessful votes will be signified by black smoke. No conclave has gone more than 5 days in over 100 years. The late Pope Francis was elected after 5 ballots over 2 days in 2013. A cardinal needs 2/3 of the vote to be elected to lead the Catholic Church. I'm Mark Mayfield.
President Trump is calling the Obama Presidential Center project in Chicago a disaster. During an Oval Office visit yesterday with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, Trump claimed the project has gone over budget because former President Barack Obama only hired woke people to build the center.
And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns.
Trump also said that the job has been stopped due to a lawsuit. The Obama Foundation has rejected that claim. News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualified today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Walt Disney shares are up more than 6%. Its earnings and revenue topped Wall Street expectations. It picked up more subscribers for its streaming services, and it was making more from its U.S. theme parks. Disney also is reporting lower theme park attendance at its international locations, higher costs at Shanghai Disney Resort and Hong Kong Disneyland. Uber Technology shares are lower. Even though its earnings were upbeat, it was bringing in less than expected. Revenue was disappointing. Sales of electric vehicles in the U.S. declined by around 5% last month. Research firm Motor Intelligence says the declines are across most brands. Stock futures are gaining with optimism about the trade situation on news that U.S. officials will meet with Chinese representatives in Switzerland this weekend. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the Big Wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-505-8709. 800-505-8709. 800-505-8709.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. Outbound, 22 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 19 minutes. Outbound, about 37 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 49 minutes. Outbound, 35 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 45 minutes. Outbound, about 32 minutes. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. For a limited time, Turnkey's offering all new customers their first month of service free, including Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, data backup, plus 24/7 help desk support. Visit turnkey.pro today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, partly sunny and not as warm. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Tonight, breezy this evening. Otherwise, increasing clouds with a low of 45. Thursday, partly sunny, breezy, and cooler with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So once President Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney got done with the pleasantries and went through the performative to buy or sell Canada exchange. And then Trump offered his pronouncements about the United States not needing or wanting Canadian cars, steel, aluminum, lumber, etc. It got right down to it. Anything that Carney can say that will get you to move off of your position on Canadian tariffs at present.
Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
It's just the way it is, but that isn't the way it is. Because meanwhile, back at the ranch, testifying before the House, was Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who had this to say about where the administration is in negotiating with the key 18 trading partners, minus one.
There are 18 very important trading relationships. We are currently negotiating with 17 of those trading partners. China, we have not engaged in negotiations with as of yet. So I expect that we can see a substantial reduction in the tariffs that we are being charged, as well as non-tariff barriers, currency manipulation, and the subsidies of both labor and capital investment. So that is proceeding very well. Many of our trading partners have approached us with very good offers, and we are in the process of renegotiating those.
Right. So the rhetorical positioning of the president in the context of wanting to show everybody who's boss again, and then the actual activity that is ongoing with Bessent and Jameson Greer and others to negotiate deals, because of the top 18 trading partners, Canada is necessarily one of them. And the only odd man out with Bessent's testimony in the House was China. And that is now, at least potentially, no longer an odd man out, when Bessent announced later yesterday that, in fact, he will be meeting with representatives of the Chinese Communist Party in Switzerland this weekend to hopefully, in his words, de-escalate as a pathway to a deal. Okay. For more on all of that in the context of a parallel track that is running, which is the big, beautiful bill on tax and spend, and, Phil Kerpen argues, regulatory policy. Phil Kerpen, President of the American Commitment, principal of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, joins us. Phil, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure.
So, how does the state of play with respect to trade impact the big, beautiful bill, do you think, in terms of both its the tax and spend side of it?
Well, I think it creates a lot more urgency to get it done sooner rather than later. We've got this massive kind of negative weight and uncertainty on the economy because of the tariff outlook. And by the way, not that I'm keeping track, but I am keeping track. We're on day 28 of the 90-day pause. And so we've almost lost a third of this pause already. We've got 0 deals so far. They keep saying they're close to all these deals, but I'd feel a lot better if they had 1 or 2 actually consummated at this point, with almost a third of the time gone. And so when you've got the prospect of those very large taxes on imports snapping back into place, it's really critical that we get the tax cuts done for the larger economy. Of course, trade is a very significant component to the economy. If you look at imports plus exports, it's almost 30% of the economy. But the tax bill touches 100% of the economy, and so the stakes are even a little bit higher for that, and it's especially important and to offset the potential costs associated with those tariffs with having new tax cuts, or at least extending the old ones so we don't have tax hikes on top of the tariffs. And I remind Republicans when I speak with them that the Republican Party platform that they ratified at the last convention expressly says that any revenue from tariffs will be used to cut other taxes. And so, that's got to be part of the thinking on this also. If these tariffs are actually going to be in place for any significant period of time, you don't want that to be a net increase in the tax burden. You want to make sure that you offset it elsewhere.
Wow. Well, when is there, a lot of people feel like President Trump and House Ways and Means Committee is dragging their feet on the tax bill. When do you expect it to come to fruition?
Well, we've got a lot of the pieces of it now that have been released. A lot of the committees have already done their work, including the Judiciary Committee, which has a really good regulatory reform components in there, including the REINS Act, a bill I've been trying to pass for the last 15 years or so. So a lot of the work has been done, but the big sort of question is what's behind the curtain at the Ways and Means Committee, because they've got the tax title, which is the big one. And they've delayed, and they don't seem to have agreement at the moment. I was thinking we'd see it maybe last week, maybe this week. It looks like maybe next week now. They've still got the same kind of basic problems that they had before. And the other one we haven't seen is the Energy and Commerce Committee, which would have any Medicaid changes, which have also kind of pathetically become controversial among Republicans. And I say kind of pathetically because, you have all these headlines about the savage cuts and the deep cut. There are no cuts. Medicaid spending goes up every single year under the House budget, and yet this idea of, a program that's up 50% in the last 5 years, they want it to only grow 3% a year instead of 5% a year in the next few years. And the media and the Democrats act like, this is the largest cut they've ever seen. So it's bizarro world. And those are the two biggest committees. Those are the ones we still haven't heard from. And so, they're trying to get they need essentially consensus to move something through the House, because Thomas Massey, who I love, by the way, votes no on everything. And they've got such a narrow majority, I think they can afford to lose 2 other Republicans because of a couple of Democratic vacancies with some deaths. They actually have a little bit more wiggle room than they did before, but still, they need to get almost total consensus. You've got a bunch of Republicans in high-tax blue states that want to raise the SALT cap. That's very expensive from a cost estimate standpoint, and so they still have a lot of moving pieces to kind of figure out. I think that once they get agreement, once we see something, and that could shake loose any time, I think it can move very quickly, because if they can get through the House with the narrow majority that they have and get that done, the original goal was Memorial Day. Maybe that slips a little bit past that. The Senate has a bigger majority than the House right now, and I think that in the compromises that it may take to get this through the House will probably be, acceptable to the senators who are in doubt. And so I still think that we might see this whole thing move relatively quickly once the curtain is lifted and we see the text out of these 2 committees that still haven't reported.
Well, it's going to have to move quickly, because then it'll get savage with all the sorts of hysteria that you're describing surrounding a Medicaid program that is not being cut. And then people will get weak-kneed about it, too, and then it could languish. So, once you unveil, you gotta run the gauntlet, it seemed to me.
Well,
but
there may be very little, unfortunately, in terms of Medicaid reforms because of the Republicans who've gone skittish in the face of these attacks. And so It may not accomplish very much on the spending side, this bill. And, that I think is going to be, that's going to rub a lot of, if that's how this turns out, that's going to rub a lot of conservatives the wrong way, and they might take a walk on it. And that would kind of be a worst-case scenario, because I don't think, a lot of people say, hey, if Republicans don't get this done, the whole thing's going to expire, and the child credit's going to be cut in half, and the standard deduction's going to be cut in half, and all the rates go up, and small businesses get hammered. And I don't think it would quite go that way. I think Republicans can't get on the same page. You're going to have to see, you'll see a deal with Democrats. And it could be even worse in many ways than the thing just expiring, because they'll want, a bunch of different tax hikes and different things, and it'll be, class warfare stuff. And, but I think, like the child credit will probably get extended no matter what, because the Democrats will agree to that. And so I think the worst case scenario is not an expiration. It's actually, Republicans can't get consensus, and then the Democrats get empowered, and we get a bipartisan bill that could be really ugly.
I know Trump has poo-pooed the idea, but is there still a disagreement among House Republicans about increasing the top bracket? Is that, you mentioned the SALT deduction. I saw from Unleash Prosperity, it's like 5 of the 50 targeted House members are in SALT states, if you will. So this is really a sop to Democrats on the net. So it's bad policy and bad politics, number one, to reward high tax states, and number two, just because of the distribution of the members of Congress I just mentioned. But are those two matters still sticking points among Republicans?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's interesting. This guy Lawler from New York, who, I think there are 2, I don't have the chart in front of me right now. I think there were 6 Republican districts in the top 50 SALT districts and 2 in the top 25. But one of them is this guy from New York, Mike Lawler, who's running for governor. And he, for all of the last Congress, his ask was, hey, double the SALT cap for married. So there's not a marriage penalty. Instead of being $10,000 for everyone, make it $20,000 for married. And I think most conservatives said, hey, we think it should be 0. We don't think SALT should be deductible. We don't think we should have, this transfer between states embedded in the tax code. But if it's going to be at 10 for single, we're okay with 20 for married, because we don't like marriage penalties. And sort of people were kind of getting comfortable with that. And Lawler went down to Mar-a-Lago in the transition period, and he went to Trump and he said, this is my ask. I want a 20,000 cap for married. And Trump said, yeah, no problem. We'll put it in the bill. And it was very un-Trumpian of him to agree like that. And this guy Lawler said, okay, well, what I actually want is 200,000. So he just immediately and massively moved the goalpost, having been granted what he'd been trying to get done for all of the previous Congress. And now he's pushing for, I think he's come down a little from the 200, but he's saying I need 75,000 or something. So they still have a challenge on that particular issue. And there's something crazy about the way that issue plays out, by the way, because all the liberals who are always saying we want higher taxes on the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. Well, in 2017, that's kind of what they did, right? The only people who got tax hikes in the Trump tax reform bill were rich people in blue states who had very high state and local tax bills. Essentially, about 8% of people in the highest tax states had net tax hikes because of the capping of SALT. But I thought the Democrats were supposed to be in favor of taxing rich people, but it turns out they're against it if it's their rich people in their states. And so, this has become a thing. And, of course, you've got some Republicans in these places. Not a lot, but if you've got a tiny, tiny House majority, then they become empowered, even if there aren't a lot of them.
You mentioned Medicaid, and we talked about this a bit earlier in the week, too, because of Josh Hawley's about-face on it, and just how nonsensical this whole thing is, including the perverse incentives that the program presents as currently constituted in terms of federal versus state spend in this joint federal-state program. You mentioned this, too. I saw in a tweet where you're talking about the idea of higher reimbursement rates for the non-disabled working age population versus the disabled population, which makes no sense. But there's something else, too, that Trump proposed in the budget, not nearly the slash and burn that the D.C. press corps has been describing, as you said, but that is basically kicking the Section 8 program back to the states as well, reducing the federal allocation by 40% and then kicking back to the states to tailor their own state and local subsidized housing programs. That would be really interesting, and it could be a wonderful reform to a completely corrupt and destructive program. We're talking about Section 8. What are the chances that something like that survives?
That's not going to be in this big, beautiful bill. That'll be kind of probably on a separate track, maybe in the appropriations process. So we'll see. I mean, they're starting the next budget process before we're done with the previous one. But maybe that could be done in reconciliation under this next budget process as a way to get it around the Democratic filibuster. So I don't think that's in play for this current bill, but maybe for the next one or maybe through appropriations. And I'm totally in favor of it. Look, I mean, if you look at what we did with the old aid to families with dependent children in the 90s when it was changed to TANF, there were really two keys to that being so successful. One was that work requirements were added to the program, which, if you want people to get off of government programs because for the right reason, not because you're booting them to die in the street, but because they're getting on the ladder of economic opportunity and they don't need those programs anymore, then work requirements are essential. Because what you want to tell the people on these programs is, look, you've got to be working or in job training if you want to get government assistance, and that will help you get off government assistance. You can't be sitting at home. And so work requirements. But the other part of it were cutting the federal strings and the bureaucracy and turning it over to the states so they could run these programs and try different things and have the flexibility to be successful. And that's the game plan. That's the template. Remember, Clinton vetoed welfare reform twice before he signed it the third time. And when he signed it the third time, it was because all 50 governors signed a letter saying that they wanted it. And it's very unfortunate that the Democratic Party has moved so far away from that, and it's no longer a consensus position to add work requirements and to cut the federal requirements and block grant these programs, because what we did for cash welfare, and by the way, it needs to be done again for cash welfare also, because it's sort of crept back in the other direction under sort of the welfare reform in reverse that we had under Obama and Biden. But we should do it for cash welfare. We should do it for housing. We should do it for food stamps. We should do it for Medicaid. It's a template that works. And by the way, it's a huge political winner. You ask about work requirements, they poll 75 or 80%. People agree that you need to have them. And they actually benefit the people in these programs to be doing something productive all day long. If you can't find work, then to be in job training and to be moving in that direction. And so I think that combined with giving the states the flexibility and the power to run these programs is critical. But also to the point you made, and I know I'm rambling a little, but states have to have skin in the game. There has to be a meaningful state share of funding in these programs, because otherwise they have no incentive to police eligibility and to prevent fraud. It's just free money from Uncle Sam. And so that's one of the reasons the Medicaid expansion has been such a disaster, because when it's 90 to 100% federal funds, the states don't care who's on the rolls. And so you have millions of ineligible people that are getting benefits.
And which is why it's unconscionable that some Republicans who call themselves conservatives are unwilling to spend the political capital to address this and just lay it out like you did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that difficult to communicate, so I don't know why they're running scared on it. And by the way, if you get millions of ineligible people off the Medicaid rolls, that is a huge help and a huge benefit to the truly needy that are in that program, because there are only so many doctors, okay? If you're trying to get in to see a doctor who takes Medicaid patients, I mean, good luck. A lot of them don't take new patients because they're already full. And if you have millions of people who are ineligible who are on those rolls, you get a lot of people who are truly needy, okay, who can't find a primary care doctor. So every time they're sick, they need to lose a whole day sitting around an emergency room, which, by the way, costs a fortune for the taxpayers that are paying the bill. And so we can make Medicaid a lot better for the people that are supposed to be on it by getting all the people who are not off the roll.
Phil Kerpen is the president of American Commitment, principal of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity as well. Phil, thank you as always.
All right, have a good one, guys.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This Mother's Day, give Mom something that shines as bright as she does. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for a gift to make Mother's Day unforgettable. Roland's has such a beautiful selection of jewelry, and I'm a long-time customer of Roland's. I love this place, and I want you to make Mom feel truly special with a stunning Simon G necklace, a Roberto coin bracelet to match her style, or sparkling diamond stud earrings. I love that Roland's is family-owned, and I appreciate their expertly trained sales specialist. Roland's will help you find that perfect gift because Mom deserves jewelry she'll cherish forever. Visit Roland's Jewelers, downtown Libertyville, or RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust this Mother's Day, like I do. RolandsJewelers.com, or call them 847-918-7300, 847-918-7300, Roland's Jewelers.
You've heard us talk about our campaign this spring with Caring Network. They're a local pro-life organization based in Chicagoland, and they're working to prevent abortions in Illinois by reaching abortion-minded women with a message of life and hope. But they need your help to do that. Illinois has unfortunately become a destination for so-called abortion tourism. As our neighboring states have restricted abortion in reasonable ways, more women are coming to Illinois. The number of abortions in Illinois has doubled in less than 7 years, in fact. Caring Network is committed to reaching the abortion-minded woman, the woman who gets pregnant unexpectedly and is likely to go to a Planned Parenthood or another abortion provider to end her pregnancy. Caring Network needs your help to reach her first. You can help this effort by making a one-time donation of $150. That amount will make it possible for Caring Network to reach 5 women who are considering abortion. They provide services like telehealth counseling with a nurse. They can also schedule an in-person appointment to show a pregnant woman her baby on an ultrasound. And Caring Network also supports the woman and child after the pregnancy as well, as we talked about earlier this week. To learn more and to make a donation to Caring Network, just go to 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring.
Does your garage floor look bad, cracked, or stained from Chicago's brutal winters? Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty, gross, to showroom shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, gleaming permanent solution. Guaranteed to never crack or chip. Mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage all summer long. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is superior to epoxy. One day and they're gone. They'll even help move your stuff out of your garage. Schedule your free quote today and mention Amy to receive $500 off. Just visit level10coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to David Harsanyi about the case for defunding NPR and PBS, as well as other media matters. He's got a new book out as well, how the Democratic Party has become a party of conspiracy theorists. We'll go over the highlights of that at 8:38.
And Raja to the rescue. I'm so offended by his campaign ad. Ugh. We can play it for you, hopefully. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 58 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem will be in Springfield today. Noem will be holding a press conference outside the mansion of Governor Pritzker. Her office says they'll be discussing Illinois' sanctuary policies and immigration in the state. Ramp closures begin later this month on the outbound Kennedy Expressway. The closures are scheduled to begin on the 19th as part of the ongoing rehabilitation from the Edens Junction to Ohio Street. They're necessary to safely complete repairs and pavement patching on the ramps. If you wake up at 3 a.m. just because, new medical info says, hey, you're normal.
Psychology Today says 1/3 of the population wakes up at 3 a.m. about 3 times a week. And they say it's a normal part of sleep, but it is age-related because as we get older, the natural sleep cycle transitions around 3 in the morning. That's when we switch between deep sleep and light sleep. Sleep Foundation says you can drift right back to sleep if you do one thing: put your phone down. I'm Bree Tennis.
News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
If you're an experienced homeowner who's outlived your assets or your spouse recently passed away, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local reverse mortgage lender. Alice, 90, widow, income $24,000 a year, living in a $500,000 home with no mortgage. Alice's husband recently passed away and she was terrified about losing her home, so her daughter called for information about a reverse mortgage. We helped Alice secure a reverse mortgage, which allowed her to access $300,000 tax-free dollars so she could afford in-home health care. Let's review. Alice's husband recently passed away. She outlived her assets and thought she had to sell her home. Our reverse mortgage expert, Jose Rodriguez, helped Alice secure a reverse mortgage so she could afford in-home health care and peacefully age in place. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Have you heard a lot of buzz about tariffs?
No.
Really?
What's a tariff?
It's a tax on imported goods.
Well, I've never heard of tariffs because 92.3% of Penny Mustard's furniture is made in the USA.
True.
In fact, most of it is built by local craftsmen and women right here in the Midwest.
And locally sourced furniture will never have a tariff on it.
Can we talk about this later? I'm tired of hearing about these tariffs.
So I guess you can say that all this talk about tariffs is taxing.
PennyMustard.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated in a new markets tax credit program, and we're fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 19 minutes. Outbound, 22 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 21 minutes. Outbound, 37 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 47 minutes. Outbound, 34 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 45 minutes. Outbound, it's about 28 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne interchange, 32 minutes. This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk might not be on your shopping list, but it should be. Next time you're grabbing some milk off the shelf at your local Walmart, stop by the Straight Talk aisle and switch to real unlimited data. It's quick and convenient. It won't even take up room in your card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Partly sunny and not as warm today. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 68. Breezy in the evening tonight, otherwise increasing clouds with a low of 45. Partly sunny, breezy, and cooler on Thursday with a high of 58. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Important think piece from Vanity Fair, as per usual. Have you been wondering why Americans are so obsessed with protein?
It's every day. Pain and Eli. Oh, I need the protein. You know, this has this much protein, Mom. That has this much protein. Protein shakes. Mixing protein in everything that you have. Protein pancake mix. I mean, the list goes on and on. Why is everybody so obsessed?
Well, I didn't know everybody was, but apparently your boys are.
Everybody that age is, I think.
The Vanity Fair put their top people on this. From the investigative piece. I don't have a good sense of what's driving that right now, other than if it's just the usual manosphere or manomania here in the United States, says Peter Cohen, an internist at Cambridge Health Alliance and an associate professor at Harvard Medical School, who leads the center's supplemental research program. Everyone's letting their testosterone out these days.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Yeah,
okay.
Especially the women. One thing he's noticed, more men than women arrive at his office interested in protein. Boy, thank you for that expert opinion, Dr. Cohen, Harvard Medical School, and you the explanation is just his sort of off-the-cuff manomania. This is good stuff. It's not only men who care about protein.
I care about protein.
Well, that's Vanity Fair. I mean, just right. Speaking to you, yes.
Mm-hmm. I drink protein shakes on days where I know I'm going to have a tough workout. I'll down one while on the way to work.
Yeah, but you don't know why you do it.
Well, because my kids told me if you want leaner, stronger muscles and more energy. Well, I'm just. Let me just tell you what they're telling me.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know why you do it. That's not why. That's not what's happening. You need Vanity Fair to tell you what's happening. Okay. Why are you doing the things you do? Well, I don't know. Vanity Fair, tell me. It's not only men who care about protein, but a mosey through recent history suggests a strong correlation between the rise of the likes of the men's rights movement and our national lust for protein, which is how we got to the quagmire of contradiction, wherein a manosphere helmed by Donald Trump has such a vocal contingent of intense protein-maxing health obsessives. The intertwinement of masculinity and red meat and its attendant health properties, namely protein, is strong and deep-seated. In short, why are Americans, including Amy and her boys, so obsessed with protein? MAGA.
Oh, really?
That's why.
They started doing protein years ago. Before
you didn't get obsessed with it. You didn't get obsessed with it until Donald Trump and RFK Jr. created this manosphere, which enveloped you and your children.
During the early Biden years. Or no,
David
who knows?
David Harsanyi is a senior writer for the Washington Examiner, author of The Rise of Blue Anon, How the Democrats Became a Party of Conspiracy Theorists. Golly, I don't know what he's talking about. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always happy to be here. Thanks.
The protein obsession, have you delved into this at all? I assume this is probably a Pulitzer winner, the excerpt just from the excerpts I just read.
I'm a fan of protein, especially with pasta or in a salad, something like that. I like to even it out. Yeah.
Did you trace that back to your MAGA-ism?
I only heard about protein about 10 years ago. That's when they first started talking about it. I'm not obsessed yet, but I know
you will be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You just wait, young man.
You think you're not obsessed. That's how MAGA works. It's insidious.
Yeah.
Creeps up on you.
But I mean, all roads lead to MAGA. I mean, that's to talk about obsessions. That's the left's.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everything hinges on whatever he does. Now, I've always been a big free market guy, for instance, but all of a sudden now the left's anti-tariff and pro-free market. I just don't really believe them. I saw Brian Stelter of CNN the other day say that we need to learn more about the Constitution. People need to know about separation of powers.
Really?
People need to know. Yeah, you just spent 10 years delegitimizing the Supreme Court. You just spent 10 years, undermining separation of power, celebrating executive abuses by Obama and Biden. So, yeah, it's a weird time.
You also replace U.S. history books with genderqueer, by the way.
Right, and Beyonce study.
There's that, too. You point, just in terms of Pulitzer quality work, where, this has become almost a punchline, but the awards that journalists or celebrities, which I guess journalists, these quote-unquote journalists sort of see themselves as, or they behave that way, where they just, give themselves awards. And so another award that has been stripped of all value, sort of like the Nobel Prize, at least the Peace Prize version of it. This Pulitzer for a group of journalists at ProPublica, which ran a story that's inaccurate. It's just like the Pulitzers that were handed out for the Russian collusion stories.
Yeah. It was a sleazy story. You'll remember about a year ago, because of Dobbs, Republicans were never going to win another election, never win the presidency, and so on. So they had to, and some of these local bans went into effect. Actually, I shouldn't call them bans. They're just restrictions, went into effect, and they came up with this story of this this woman named Amber Thurman who took abortion pills, had complications, and died because the doctors it seems, at least allegedly, didn't take care of her. And the whole thesis here, I guess, is that that doctors are scared to help women because of these laws. But the very heart of the story, first of all, there's not a single quotation, not a single source on the record that says anything of the sort. That's the first thing. Second thing is you have to get to the 57th paragraph before you read that the report on this says that nothing of the sort happened. Moreover, finally, the abortion had already happened. She had an infection because, she got an infection from the complications, and they had been aborted already. So there was nothing in the law that would have stopped them. Anyway, it's a terrible story. It should be used by journalism students, journalism professors, if we have any left, to show someone how not to be a hack, basically. And instead, it won a Pulitzer Prize, which when I started out was a really big deal and something to be admired. Today, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's like giving an award to yourself for covering Biden's, presidency and covering that, his acuity had fallen, way, way too late. And after you covered it up, these people give themselves awards for the most insane things, and they just destroy their credibility over and over and over again, I think.
Yeah, you talked about how at first they probably started pitching it to big outlets such as the New York Times, and then you work your way down. How does that transpire?
All the way down to ProPublica, yeah. I think what happens is, you have some activist group, they have a story, they've come up with this thing. They pitch it to the New York Times. New York Times is like, this isn't even good. We can't even do this. Washington Post, on, and you end up with ProPublica, which is propped up by deep-pocketed leftist, donors and groups. And they'll put it out. And then the little game they play is, and that, after they put out this terrible story that no real journalist would write and everyone knows is terrible, the New York Times will mention ProPublica reported this and this. Kamala Harris will mention it. Democratic senators will mention it. The little game they play, I call this Potemkin journalism. It's kind of dressed up with fancy journalistic words and kind of the tone of a real investigative story. There's nothing there, and this is what they do, and this is why no one trusts them.
Well, no, it's a good distillation of it. The interesting thing too is this discussion of defunding NPR and PBS after the testimony from the two CEOs of those organizations and the Trump executive order. But, we were talking about this back with Doge, when Doge uncovered, how many millions of dollars Politico was getting, for example, on subscriptions from government employees and government agencies and so forth. That's sort of basically underwriting or subsidizing some of these Beltway outlets under the guise of voluntary subscriptions. That's a whole nother funding stream that I don't think people fully appreciated until some of this was uncovered. We should be defunding that as well as the direct payments that NPR and PBS get.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, I get it. These PBS, NPR, they're biased. They speak to a certain faction of the country, I would say, that are upper class leftists, basically. And hey, I watch some of it and listen to some of it too. It's pretty good sometimes. But so let's just set this bias apart. Why should we subsidize the viewing and listening habits of rich people, basically? I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's an antiquated model. We have in 1969, Mr. Rogers went in front of the Senate and, gave this famous little speech, and he got money. And that's great because maybe we didn't have choices. But today, we have tons of choices. I mean, I could watch educational programs all day if I wanted. So there's really no need for it, even beyond the bias, I think.
Well, and we have these Orwellian pitches that are coming from outlets that are supported by, the forced extraction of other people's money. Chicago Sun-Times this week, which is owned by NPR, the WBEZ station, which is the NPR station in Chicago. Chicago Sun-Times, in response to the executive order that Trump said, they made this appeal. We need 2,500 new donors by May 15th to, quote, keep our organization sustainable amid threats to our independence. I mean, nothing screams independence like being a state dependent.
And that's the thing. I mean, if you truly believe that, so if NPR can be threatened by the president, and let's say they acquiesced to him and mollified him, that's bad too. I don't want media organizations doing what the state tells them to do. And if you really want to be independent, you wouldn't do that. Certainly, you can get with on one side they say, "Oh, it's not a lot of money." On the other side, they say, "We will collapse if we don't have this money." It can't be both things. And I'm sure you could raise 8% from all the people who listen to NPR podcasts. What do they have, 1,000 stations or something? I mean, it's ridiculous that they cry poor. They're a big media organization, and there's no reason for us to help prop them up, especially because a lot of people don't like the sorts of social and political commentary that they have. I mean, what was that guy's name? Yuri Berliner, I think. He said there were 80 people on the news side, and they're all registered Democrats, not one registered Republican. I mean, I don't want to help fund that.
Right, and they've become op-ed writers and frankly sci-fi writers, novelists masquerading as journalists. I mean, this to me is part of the story of your new book, The Rise of Blue Anon, the Democrats being a party of conspiracy theorists. You described almost the process, and this is how something that is so obviously debunked, at least in the minds of anybody that is sort of evidence-based in the way they process information and come to conclusions. But this is the way that the things that persist that have been so thoroughly debunked is because you have this infrastructure of fictionalists. Yeah.
I mean, that's what the left-wing journalism has become. And, it's also annoying. I got to say, I'm watching PBS or something, right? And there's always some political message. I can't watch a nature show without hearing about climate change destroying the earth or whatever. I mean, it's just they've kind of embedded their political and social views into nearly everything. And I'm sorry. I mean, if you wanted to survive, put a commercial on or something like the rest of us, or whatever. Make it a streaming service. We really don't need it. It does not. The initial bill to fund all this stuff was about giving people who have maybe 3 channels in their community some educational programming or programming for their children. It's got to be a whole bunch of stations for kids, on streaming services now. We don't really need it.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic that things that have been debunked will be widely understood to have been debunked because of the continued digitization and democratization of media, more outlets, again, the proverbial, some Twitter accounts that have more subscribers, followers than major dailies and so forth. Are you seeing progress toward that end, even as amid the cries of misinformation, disinformation, or do you see it's just more siloing that's going on, and they're just people that you can't get to unless you share their particular belief systems?
I'm pretty pessimistic because, obviously I want these, I guess you call them establishment media organizations, destroyed. I don't want people to be hurt, but I just don't. I think they've failed us in a major way. But the vacuum they've created has allowed some good people to show up, but there's so much, I hate to say the word, disinformation or lies out there, or there's just, the vacuum has left. A lot of bad people have realized they can make a lot of money on Twitter just saying crazy things, and a lot of, credulous people will follow them. Now, I don't know, maybe I have a slanted or skewed view of this because I'm online too much. Maybe it's not thus in the real world, but I guess we'll see soon enough.
David Harsanyi, senior writer for the Washington Examiner, author of The Rise of Blue Anon, how the Democrats became a party of conspiracy theorists. David, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Quiet down. Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
All right. If you want to send your kids to a private school but don't have the money, and now there's no more scholarships because lawmakers in Illinois said no, then contact our friends at ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. Tell them which private school you want to send your child to. Then we contact that school on your behalf and work to secure a voucher for half off the first year of tuition, typically saving thousands of dollars for families. Now, the program only applies to new students who are not currently enrolled in the school. So if you've been considering sending your child to a private school and thought it was financially out of reach, well, go to ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com to learn more. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
Hey, Carl Jackson here for Dennis Prager. While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments along with lectures, celebrity interviews, and his famous Torah teachings and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com, Pragertopia.com.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 golf outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Trump International Hotel and Tower Chicago, Suburban Welding and Steel, and by Monarch Technical Recruiting Services.
This Mother's Day, give Mom something that shines as bright as she does. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for a gift to make Mother's Day unforgettable. Roland's has such a beautiful selection of jewelry, and I'm a longtime customer of Roland's. I love this place, and I want you to make Mom feel truly special with a stunning Simon G necklace, a Roberto coin bracelet to match her style, or sparkling diamond stud earrings. I love that Roland's is family-owned, and I appreciate their expertly trained sales specialists. Roland's will help you find that perfect gift because Mom deserves jewelry she'll cherish forever. Visit Roland's Jewelers, downtown Libertyville, or RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust this Mother's Day, like I do. RolandsJewelers.com, or call them 847-918-7300, 847-918-7300, Roland's Jewelers.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. How'd you hit him yesterday, Dan? Any holes in one you want to tell us?
No.
Bragger?
Yeah. Not better on the back than the front.
Okay. Getting ready for our tournament, which, by the way, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club, and we'd love to see you there. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
They'll soon be sworn to secrecy. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The 133 Cardinals who will pick the next pope weeks after Francis's death. That was at a mass this morning at St. Peter's Basilica before the conclave.
We are here to invoke the help of the Holy Spirit, to implore his light and strength.
Cardinal Battista Ray delivered the homily before the voting. Cardinals gather soon inside the Sistine Chapel. Fox's Alex Hogan's at the Vatican.
This is the largest conclave ever, and it's the most diverse, with 24 cardinals from countries that have never before participated. Later this afternoon, the cardinals will take an oath of secrecy. They'll give up their phones, their electronic devices, access to newspapers, TV, any contact with the outside world. Anyone else who works in the Vatican, like plumbers or electricians, they will not be able to communicate with the outside world either.
One vote's expected today, but if 2/3 of the Cardinals don't agree, they'll try again tomorrow. Two bitter nuclear-armed rivals in conflict again. After India launched missile strikes, Pakistan called an act of war, killing at least 31 people.
Pakistan vows revenge. The Prime Minister's office said Pakistan has the right to respond in self-defense at a time, place, and manner of its choosing. As part of Operation Sindoor, the Indian Armed Forces say they targeted terrorist infrastructure that was used by militants linked to last month's massacre that killed 26 people, mostly tourists, in Indian-controlled Kashmir. But Pakistan denied any involvement.
Fox's Stephanie Bennett. It's another frustrating day to fly into or out of Newark, New Jersey's airport, where Fox's Nate Foy reports.
The FAA came out with a new statement saying it is again slowing departures and arrivals here at this airport because, again, FAA staffing and equipment issues.
Also today, the mandate to have a real ID to board a flight takes effect. Without one or a passport, passengers face additional screening. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Partly sunny, breezy this afternoon, high 69 for tonight, cloudy, low 46. For tomorrow, partly sunny, breezy with a high 58, and sunshine on Friday, high 65. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. For nearly a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we've expanded Cigar Night to 2 nights. Wednesday, May 21st at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove, and Thursday, May 22nd at Gaelic Park in Oak Forest. Featuring the great Larry Elder, along with AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Goldilocks, Doors, Locks, and Security.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. President Donald Trump sat for a wide-ranging interview with Kristen Welker from Meet the Press last Sunday. The only headline to emerge, and it was everywhere, quote, Trump says, I don't know, when asked about due process and upholding the Constitution, close quote. That was the New York Times. Versions of that were reposted everywhere. The answer was about criminal illegal immigrants in America. Welker specifically named Kilmar Abrego Garcia. What the media did not report was that Donald Trump also said, quote, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said, close quote. That, of course, would not be a headline. Try to imagine, quote, Trump says he'll follow the Supreme Court, close quote. Trump was addressing what due process rights illegal aliens should receive. We're talking rapists, murderers, batterers, and gang members. Are they the same as American citizens? Of course not. And as for Garcia, he's had several hearings already. I, for one, am glad he's in his home country and not here. I'm Seth Leibson.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.